Gamal will be coming. He's still on his way home, I think, and then he will connect.
He's coming personally.
No, he will be on Zoom.
Yeah.
GHRA are on the IH.
You're allowed to come. We've checked that out.
Yeah, I meant to come watch them.
We should zoom in, watch them. Yeah, we could watch them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good one.
I didn't realise it was live stream.
So,
Thank you. Are we live streaming now?
yeah.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Welcome to this briefing, which, as you're all aware, is being live streamed. We've got Debbie on Zoom and later Gamal on Zoom. So we'll proceed and start with our visitors. Bruce, you're coming in with Sarah to talk on parks. Urban planning.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
I haven't.
Planning around Hornby.
Your favourite
Urban planning.
Yep.
And I think we've got half an hour.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I'm a bit vague. I'm moving houses. So
Can we borrow your
love the clicker.
clicker? If it'll work.
Thank you.
Hope it works. Technology.
It's not.
Yeah.
And Bruce, your particular job is.
We will do an introduction
Well, thank
to make sure everyone understands.
Jesus. Thank you.
So yes, I'm Bruce Rendell. I'm the head of City Growth and Property. My team has got four main areas: property, housing, case management, and most important for this particular topic is urban regeneration. With me, Sarah Oliver.
Yeah, and I'm one of the city planning team leaders, and our role is the district plan and spatial planning, and specific to this is local area planning.
Thank you.
And we'll explain a bit of that, where the boundaries between those lie as part of the presentation.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
To here. This one should be
To the computer. Point it to the computer.
yep.
To Marie's computer.
Presentation
Do
mode.
you just want to enter it?
Yeah, I think it might be
Yeah.
better just to enter.
Just wait.
I'm just trying to move these a bit. Oh, yep, go.
On the slide show.
Yep. Yeah, I had the banner in the wrong way. Yep.
Right, so if we can just go to the next one. So you've indicated it's a board priority to,
Sorry, I'm just taking this down.
just go back one.
Go back one.
Yep, board priority is the development and delivery of a master plan for Hornby. So what we wanted to do today was come and talk about, well, what's the broad context of urban planning? What's the current program? We want to be brief on that because most of this is not about us talking to you, but we want to understand from the board what are the issues, concerns, questions, priorities that we can then take away and put in and develop a proposed way forward. So I think what I'll do now is hand over to Sarah to start talking about the urban planning context, and we could move to the that slide there.
Actually, I'll just,
Thanks, Sarah.
it's all right, I'll just grab this document. So spatial planning occurs at a number of different scales, and first at the sub-regional, that's the Greater Christchurch Spatial Plan, which has been endorsed by council, and you may or may not be familiar with the content, but I can run through some of the key elements that impact Hornby specifically, or this whole area. And so we plan at the Greater Christchurch, and that's really with our partners, our key stakeholders, like Waka Kotahi, NZTA, and our districts. And so we come up with an urban growth strategy, and that's essentially what the spatial plan. And one of the overarching has to meet the requirements of the future development strategy, and that's to address any housing sufficiency issues and plan for long-term infrastructure. At the district level, so that's we plan also at our district. So our district plan is one of our statutory documents, but often we will have district-wide objectives. And even a long-term plan. So your long-term plan is also a district level and quite often touches on spatial planning matters and sets directions there, particularly for what outcomes we're seeking for as a city. Then at a citywide, so this is when we start getting down into network planning. We have all of our infrastructure networks. We have a lot of infrastructure network plans, and they are at various stages. They often get reviewed, updated. All of this is driven by our growth of projections for the city, and both growth and also need. So we plan for both aspects. So our networks are looking at what kind of infrastructure network we need to support our growing and changing cities. And then at a local area.
Well, just on that point, there's both the infrastructure network plans, water supply, transport, etc., but there's also the social infrastructure plans. So there's a rec and sport network, sports field is being developed, libraries network, and community facilities network plan as well.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different, and as I mentioned, there's a number of plans that have been already prepared to date that council have adopted in terms of their network plans, and then there are emerging ones that Bruce mentioned. At a local area, so we also do local area spatial planning. We have been doing this for many years. It's nothing new to us. I mentioned Southwest Christchurch, which was an area plan, a very large area plan that was done many years ago. And so that also requires updating because it has been, there's been a lot of decisions that have been made since then, and a lot of development has occurred since then. So when we first started that Southwest Area Plan, we thought that was going to last us decades and decades, but it hasn't. It's actually been, most of the land has actually been quite developed. So, and then we get down to the neighbourhood level, and neighbourhood level might be a few blocks, a focused area that would be within a wider catchment. And then we also do spatial planning at the very site. So that could be a big brownfield site, or it could be a mall or part of a mall, or it could be, so that's more site specific. So spatial planning really occurs at a lot of different levels. So that's the point. And some of the terminology that is often used changes. We hear the term structure planning, spatial planning, master planning, all sorts of different terms, but quite often the way you approach it is it's the same. It's just the scale at which it's undertaken. Next slide. So I mentioned the Greater Christchurch Spatial Plan. So this Greater Christchurch Spatial Plan was just recently adopted. It does continue to uphold our objectives and directions for growth for the Greater Christchurch region, and that is towards a more compact or consolidated urban form. It reinforces what we sought under the urban development strategy in 2007, which is growth around our main town centres and along public transport corridors. And it does introduce a potential for us to have a city shaping project, being the potential for mass rapid transit. But I refer to that in Plan Change 14 as the city spine. So the city spine is just stretches from Belfast, heading down to into the central city, and then heading out to the west. So that's really, if you look at the city in its urban form, very much is the city spine that we're trying to focus the most growth and redevelopment that connects all our big major centres. So that's and where a lot of our infrastructure has been focused around over decades. And in here, I think it might be the next slide. Yes, so as you can see there, the Riccarton corridor and Hornby corridor has been identified as a priority development area, and it is being considered as part of the indicative business case for mass rapid transit. So it's very much that core spine. A priority development area is where, again, as I just mentioned before, where we want to focus the most growth and redevelopment within that corridor. And that's for a number of reasons, and such as efficient use and effectiveness of infrastructure, but also it's the areas where we think where we do have the most services to support a growing population. And it's also to do employment. It's not just housing. These are very much our employment corridors as well. So and it explains within the Greater Christchurch Spatial Plan, just has not too many words, but really just saying that that's where we want to incentivise as well. So it may require more of a partnership approach across our stakeholders, and where council may need to focus its activities.
Just before you go, Sarah, one thing that the Riccarton people were concerned about is that the density in Riccarton has gone higher than Papanui, and up till now it's always been much the same. Now it seems to be the university, but it is not spelled out.
I'm just wondering, we've focused on Hornby today, whether we can take that offline.
Okay, I'll get it offline.
Get an answer
Sure,
offline.
that's fine.
Yes, I can. So Hornby is definitely featured as part of this this corridor. It's a key spearhead, I guess, to the west. Next slide. So we have, even before the Greater Christchurch Spatial Plan, we had to do an update, prepare that with our partners. We have been long working on our own local area planning program. So go back 10, 15 years, it was very much focused around greenfield growth. And again, I mentioned the Belfast Area Plan, the Southwest Area Plan, those were very much our spatial plans, and that was our main focus. It's changed because our greenfield land is, we don't have, we're not planning at this stage for additional greenfield land, and very much our focus is around how do we provide for growth within our redevelopment of our existing urban area. So the framework for local area planning is changing, and we have identified, which I'll get to, other areas of where we need to shift our focus. It implements, its design is just very similar to the area plans program we had before, or previous years, but it's a framework for implementing the higher order directions, such as the Greater Christchurch Spatial Plan and a lot of our other council plans and strategies, to facilitate that partnership approach, so continuing to work with our partners to get the outcomes we need, and in opportunities to manage the impacts of growth. So as our city is densifying, that we know that we've got impacts to manage, and particularly have particular focus of that Riccarton corridor and that Hornby area. So we look to, for the Ōtautahi Christchurch Planning Program, we've got 4 main outcomes that we're proposing to focus on. That's water, green city, strengthening identity, and improving the connection and prosperity within these areas. We have a regenerative and integrated approach, because for this to achieve, just as we have planned and continue to plan, is the fact that it's not just one aspect. You have to weave them. That's what this is. The symbol is you have to weave all those outcomes and work networks together, apply them to a local area, and then from that falls out a lot of actions. Next slide. So some of our big outcomes that we need to do is reconnect our networks. So strengthen the networks. The networks. These might be ecological, transport, and community networks as well. So we look at how we can do that across the city, but then focusing on a particular area. So it's about supporting that growth and renewal, and regenerating nature. So that's another. So regenerative approach is a whole of systems approach. You can't, if you really want to shift the dial and get to that vision that we have in our long-term plan, then you really need to do things differently. And the only way we can really achieve it is by looking across a whole lot of partnership and a whole lot of aspects, and really the whole system. And just on the right-hand side, that's just sort of indicative of all the different networks and all the different issues that we need to look at when we look to an area, and then we work those all together. We take an integrated approach across all the disciplines, including business community and our actual community, different people within the community, and then you out of that, what emerges as a local plan. Next slide. Again, the focus for local area planning, it's not just Hornby. We do have areas across the city where we'll need to focus. Just about everywhere in the city deserves some focus, but we can't go everywhere all at once. So we do need to prioritise. And so that's just an indication and those are just some of the drivers for what that local area planning might need to consider as part of the driving, the key things we need to consider, or all that's been experienced in those particular areas. It changes across the city. So that's one other thing. Hornby's issues are not Belfast issues. They do change. They have a very different, so it changes for whatever area.
So I think, well, just before we move off that, but when we get discussion, we're seeing the drivers there around population and housing, around movement, around employment. I can't quite see that bottom one. Is that blue-green network connections?
Yeah.
So, are they right? And what do they mean for you? So keep that in mind for when we get into the discussion part.
And those are just symbols. They're just symbols to say, really, that was just indicating it changes across the city.
Yep.
Next slide. So in the long-term plan, there are programs of work. Bruce's areas are focused in the blue, and we've got a new name. I just saw it. Can't remember our new unit's name, but strategic transport and planning.
Regulation.
Is it the regulation?
Regulation.
Yeah, sorry, I just saw John Higgins come this morning. Sorry, I've been in hearing. So that's our focus. Well, we lead as a unit basically the city spine corridor. So that's our
yellow
response.
areas.
Is the yellow, and Bruce's team with Central City and the suburban centres. The east is a little bit different, but I won't go there because that's multi-unit.
Special area.
Special, very special. That's not to say that Bruce's team doesn't be involved in Hornby, because we'll just get on to where we
joined up.
We're joined up because we have to. We always work across our units anyway. The next slide. As I mentioned before, it's local area planning isn't just a new thing. We've been doing local area planning for years. So we have current programs. Bruce, did you want to speak to the top one?
Well, yes, the current ones are things like existing suburban master plans that are more now in the delivery phase investment. And then you're looking at our current work program is in that green area phase 1 planning. So the central city, parts of the eastern area, particularly around Linwood, and we've got a few sites. They're more site specific out on Banks Peninsula, particularly at Diamond Harbour and Akaroa. So they're underway at the moment. Then we're moving to the blue.
Yep. So the blue is mainly the city spine, which is Hornby, Papanui to the Papanui area may end up, it's Papanui Merivale, so it's again the first part north of that potential mass rapid transit corridor. We have Riccarton to Upper Riccarton, so that is also within the next phase. And I think the last one was potentially Bishopdale, but
Which is much more of a site level.
Yeah. However, it's going to have to be planned at the same time Papanui, because it's not very far away. So there are potentially, depending on options for the mass rapid transit corridor, so it may begin to touch the sides of Bishopdale as far as a catchment area. But again, that is our next phase of local area planning. And then into phase 3, well, there's a whole lot of other areas, as I indicated on that map, so that we haven't identified those as a priority just yet, because we've got a huge work program ahead of us, even just with the phase 2. Next slide. So in terms of transport, at the moment we've had a change of government, and so the draft government policy statement for land transport and what investment that the government is going to focus on. There is within it's called the State Highway Investment Program. there is still signalled within there, so this is Waka Kotahi's program, where they're seeking to have funding. Still within their draft program is Hornby, so that is one of their signals to get some funding from the government. They do call instead of the Mass Rapid Transit program, it's called the Greater Christchurch Public Improvements Program. It's got
Another name.
It's got another name. It's got another name recently. Probably, I don't know. I suspect. So it's a broader package of work, and what it's still subject to decisions from central government as to what does get funded or not. But for our understanding is there's still some projects within there that and potentially looking to continue to progress that work that is that's already been started through the Greater Christchurch Spatial Plan along that potential for the Mass Rapid Transit, but it's just still in the indicative business case.
Yeah. And part of the reason we're focusing on this is for Hornby, we suspect that the role of the state highway is going to be key and will be a key concern, and we'll need to make sure we're involving Waka Kotahi in addressing those concerns. But they've already got it. And what I suppose one of the things I picked up from this is that separation of Project 3, which is just around that main intersection around the hub, is separate to 4, which is the one related to the Mass Rapid Transit. So that it's not just relying on that overall Mass Rapid Transit business case. It looks like they are looking for improvements there anyway in that area.
Like a footpath.
Pretty good.
Yeah, like a footpath.
We will need to work with them if that's a priority, as we suspect it will be. And you'll see from coming slides that we'll need to work with Waka Kotahi very closely on that, as well as Kiwi Rail in there.
Yeah, so we already work in partnership with Waka Kotahi, and depending on those work and the funding for that work, there's a lot of option consideration that is required, and that has a key component of any local area planning. But we were always going to be looking at Hornby and having to develop Hornby or consider the options and opportunities with Waka Kotahi as a key partner. So the next phase is that detailed business case. I've mentioned that. Yes, so next slide.
So just one of the matters that came through the long-term plan process was to look into that footpath issue as discussed. That's underway, but the decisions haven't yet, well, the report hasn't yet been written to come back to council, so there's no decisions on that, but it is definitely on the radar. We're aware of it, and there will be advice provided at the appropriate time on that. So I think what we're then now hoping for is to get feedback from you about what it is that are the issues, the problems, the opportunities, concerns, questions you have around Hornby. Just to help with that, the next 2 slides just put recognising whether the debate is at the broader local area. This is really trying to show the whole suburb, or the next slide, is it just around that area around the hub? So we've got those aerials there so that if you need to point out specific features that you can do. Just for explanation, the red on that is council-owned land. So that's just to help you understand what we own in those areas. So really we're in your hands.
Thank you. We'll start with the Hornby people first. Yep. Mark, and then Sarah, and then Hank.
So I guess the main focus this has kind of been birthed out of is the growing pains that we have in Hornby, particularly the transport network is a bit of a schmozzle. We're getting a lot of congestion on arterial routes in, around and through. Thinking in particular, Highway 1, Carbon Road, Main South is certainly part of the problem. Being a large Waikato Kotahi piece, NZTA, that's going to definitely require some conversation with them. There's the connectedness issue. That footpath is an absolute key for the community. And what's something that's stuck in my mind since getting on council is we see the program for transport choices in the likes of Linwood, and I think, well, why not transport choices in this area as well? So, I mean, particularly now Maratiki going on Kyle Park as of tomorrow, how does the communities in South Hornby, Awatea, and those Wigram areas get access across State Highway 1 safely to that facility is going to be quite key. There has been talk through time of there is a missing link at the back of the hub. On the corner of Chalmers is the underpass for pedestrians. And
Maybe we can just go to the next slide just to.
yep, so the underpass from the corner of the Chalmers Street there, through the underpass, through Kyle Park, connecting potentially Hay Road.
Are you
through
familiar with
to
that location?
Chalmers
Because I could
Street.
point it. Do you know where it is? Or
It would be good to
Yeah.
see a hub user, but
Yep.
walk further.
you're doing it anyway,
Yep.
Maureen? Yeah, there.
So along the edge of that red piece.
Yeah.
And then goes across, sort of diagonal to, across there.
Yeah.
So that there were plans drawn for that years ago. It was proposed to be done by not council. It's going to be the hub and the Working Men's Club working
I
together.
remember that.
Never quite came off, frustratingly, but that's something which may come into this sort of local area plan thinking, I suspect.
Yes, absolutely.
To me, connected communities is what is absolutely needed. The way it sits, there's very much this side of the rails and that side of the rails. So, with that, traffic movement around Carmen, Main South, there's also down onto Shands and then down onto Amy's as well. Amy's is a key arterial that takes a lot of traffic from Horswell, Wigram through into the hub. And that becomes congested both ends at different ends of the day.
And there's a school on it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with this.
So those are probably the key. And I guess one of the big things too is the industrial interface. We've got industrial, which is a really interesting case on Branston Street, where you've got industrial on one side and then residential on the other. And then you've got the residential complaining about the trucks and industrial movements. And then that industrial movement is also moving up Branston Street onto Amy's and using things like Goulding and Shands to access the major networks, which is introducing some real dangerous traffic into a mix which is already pretty volatile. So there's a lot of thinking in that sort of transport space. Then on from there, there's also the huge concern, I'm sure you're familiar with this, PC14 and intensification and all the making more intense population down Amy's Road there than it already is. I mean, we're already seeing 7 or 8 unit 2-story developments going down there, which is raising a few eyebrows. And then to think, well, 6 stories could go down there and wow, this is going to become powder keg. We're worried about the infrastructure for the underground services. Is that going to cope? The transport infrastructure, is that going to cope? And as a side angle on that too, of course, is all the green space. There's a bit of a dearth of green space in some of the areas already. And as you bring in these more intensified housing, we're going to need to, I guess, do some very serious planning for how does this extra intensification land into this area. And that's, I guess, part of this thinking of the sort of, as we call it, the master plan or the local area plan now, making sure we've got that plan and some plans to have those green spaces strategically placed in these areas. At the moment, we're seeing one section, which is one house on it, becoming 8 or 10, and the green space just disappears. You used to have a lawn, used to have some trees, but now there's nothing but concrete and steel. So we're going to have to plan somehow to have, I don't know whether it's every X number of lots is designated as green space or have that in mind in some way to make sure we manage that as it lands.
And then you got the golf and home side.
Yeah.
And whatever happens there, but
Extra.
I know that's open.
And that's already consented, so that's an interesting case in itself. We're already hearing
Bit concerning.
the owners want to sell it, and then potentially do a little piece of the development themselves and then sell it on. So, who knows what that might become. I mean, my take on that already is that we're lucky it wasn't consented or held off until PC 14 was in and came 6 stories immediately, because it would be eligible. Maybe even 10 stories, I don't know. But so those are kind of the thoughts that we've got. And I think the main area this master plan birthed out of was the transport pains that we've been having. We're already having to live with, and trying to find a way, how can we work toward improving and controlling this environment so that it becomes a safer environment for everyone. And that transport choice to me is quite key. It's nice to have transport choice in the east and in Linwood, but it's nice, I think, also to have it in this sort of neighbourhood where it's already extremely busy and extremely over trafficked and overpopulated. To have more coming into it, we have to think very cleverly to.
Thank you. Now go to Sarah. Do you have any extra comments?
Mark's done a very good job at summarising everything. I'm new to all of this, so there has been talk about heavy traffic bypass Pound Road.
Pound Rise.
Does that factor into this?
Yes, so that is part of the options. So I wonder if the best way I can answer this is that there's a slide at the end which talks, next one. Okay, so this is the phases that typically, they're high level phases. So within them, there's a whole lot of steps that we have to develop in terms of the program. The first thing which Mark has just identified is the project initiation. So all the issues and opportunities that have, you've very well set out, it's exactly what they are. There'll be a whole lot more as well. So that's what we do as one of the first steps. And there's a lot of transport assessments. I think I mentioned in the council briefing that there has been a lot of background work already sitting there for us to, we're not starting from scratch here in terms of issue identification. So we can utilise that. Then we may need to do some more work in terms of to dig a bit deeper as to what the issues are, what information do we need to do, more local transport assessments. Like I do know that was part of the program of work for our operations team, asset network team, to do some more work. So we do know, and we need to work out what that work is in conjunction with what Wokutahi are doing. So that is very, very important. And then we have a process of, we also need to establish who do we need to talk to, because that is critically important. So that's the doing it together. We need to identify like the business community in Hornby is really key. Some communities are very much driven by the people, the residents, but in this case we have to, so something we might consider would be a business strategy, and within that beginning to actually talk to our businesses to find out what their long-term, particularly the industrial areas, what are their long-term aspirations, because depending on what those are, can actually open up opportunities, or they can cement some options. So we need to do that, and that's going to take a lot of relationship building with the business community, which we have not done for many, many years. You have your connections, and this is where your connections come in as well, having the board central to helping us identify and develop those relationships from a planning perspective. And so we have to develop what that looks like. What is that framework to actually get all the information and to actually have people buy into this process, because success is only when you have that buy-in. So right from the beginning of how do we get, and also with mana whenua, we need to find how do they want to be involved in this? What are any aspirations or opportunities or issues? So we need to ask and and what's the process that we develop potentially. And then you get into the planning, because then you actually have to do a lot of evaluation of options. You can identify, we've had working sessions just with staff in the past. We've got some concept and some ideas of how we might resolve things. So it's working through, that process can take quite a long time, because we might need to come up with some concepts and test them. Do they work? We've got all our development capacity modelling now. So we're actually, whereas in the past, it's getting quite sophisticated. So we can actually, yes, we might run a 10-story development scenario, but we also might run one that's actually more realistic to what we think might occur over 20 years. So those, because as our PC14 evidence is that apartments are not commercially viable, and they're only really commercially viable at this stage in Central City. So, or maybe around some other key locations, but in Hornby, what might we see over the next 10, 20 years might be more around that more intensive townhouse type development. And so running those scenarios through, then testing some other higher development scenarios and just seeing what they might play out on the ground. And then we run those through our infrastructure models. So that's another big, so we test them through our 3 waters, our stormwater, because and you know, applying how might we achieve that 20% tree canopy, because Hornby's only at 7%, so it's got a long way to go in terms of, and you mentioned reserve contribution. Well, yes, you know, how do we actually get those outcomes? Water, again, key. How do we manage our stormwater better? There's a whole lot of in that optionality that we test, and then we feed that back. So there's a bit of a loop, and then in the end we need to cost it. So then it's our next big funding. You know, we can finally come up with a concept or a plan, but at the same time we need to know how we can actually fund that. So that is a key. And you know, have to say that was probably the success of the Southwest Area Plan. It actually had a funding plan that sat with it, and that was embedded within the long-term plan. So it got delivered, and there was strategic land acquisition with it. So that's how that was facilitated. So that's critically important. And then you move into implementation, where you see things tangibly on the ground, and then you, as this is part of the Otatahi. Eventually you get over time heading towards that longer term outcomes. So that's the phasing, and we have to, one of our first steps is developing that planning program. So that's what we just need to develop. And you know, you're very much at part of helping.
One more. I'd just like Henk to have a comment. Back to Sarah. Yes.
No, not as
sorry.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Henk.
I'm a bit confused that this is not a new problem. Hornby's been around for a day or two, and we're already starting to look at the planning phase.
No, I mentioned
this is the next plan.
Yeah, so Hornby has had the last local area plan for Hornby was many.
I don't doubt that for 1 minute.
Yes. There's always planning, as I mentioned, there's always network planning, there's always
Right.
Let me go back to the slide of at the various scales.
Various scales. So this is the next, I guess, the next phase. Yes, it's the best way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is that heavy transport is using Pound Road more and more.
Yes.
And that which is good. I looked at the other night. I was pleasantly surprised. I was also surprised about the amount of articulated trucks that don't use Halswell Junction Road between Pound Road and the new to-be railway crossing. And when I queried that with a truck driver I knew, he said, because there's too many roundabouts, they're too awkward, he says, and we're not using them. They'd rather go to the end of Pound Road, turn right in and come in that way. And how dumb is that? Yeah, to me, you know, the other thing is they can't get out of Halswell Junction Road onto Pound Road with an articulated truck very easily. It's a difficult turn. It needs looking at and working on. Yeah, it's just awkward angles, and so it might be possible on a computer, but these guys don't drive computers. Well, they almost do, but they, these are big trucks, and they're always in a hurry. To me, we need to get not just the Arctics, because a lot of them do use Beyond Road. They're very good, but we need to get that heavy traffic away from that State Highway 1 Carmen Road intersection, right in the middle of our shopping centre.
And one of the things with Pound Road, with them using it already, Pound Road's not built for that yet. Therefore, it's costing us a lot of OPEX to try and keep it running. And it's causing a lot of congestion. Talk to anyone who's in Yaldhurst about the heavies going through their roundabout and across the West Coast Road. They could be queued up there for miles, down beyond Buchanan's Road and back towards Waterloo. There's just so many of them.
So the freight planning is critically important.
Absolutely.
That is one, when I mentioned about different parts of the city are unique, Hornby is very unique in the fact that it's freight is at the heart of it. And so that's one of the key first.
I mean, some of the truck drivers are very good, and they try and take shortcuts, and they try and do the right thing, but they don't know what it is. They're either going past schools or they're going past schools, and they're either going through the middle or they're trying to skirt around the outside through the suburbs, if you like, and that doesn't work either. The other thing you mentioned was the green cover. These wonderful trees that we complain about this time of year because the leaves that fall off them, but we need them. Would now be a good time to talk to some of these people who have quarries in their area, rather than wait until they fill them in and put houses on them, because that's what they're going to do, obviously. Sooner or later, they're going to do it. To me, that would make sense. I'm only a boy, but
Yes, again, that's one of the network. Again, it's just one of those opportunities that we need to look for opportunities to improve the tree canopy cover within the wider catchment area. We also, there's a lot of tar seal out there. There's a lot of concrete.
No doubt about that. And it's not getting any
And
less.
there's a lot of big businesses which might, again, I think what's unique about here is we have that business community and
industrial community too.
It's not like when I say business, I mean industrial. I'm not talking about them all. I'm talking actually more about the
industry.
area.
About the water park and
Okay. Thank you. We're starting to come to the end. I want to ask you: is this in our long-term plan?
Yes.
Which year is it in?
Yes. It's the local area planning is, well, it's within both our activity plans.
Yes.
You'll see it as it's in our activity plans. They used to be called activity management plans. Yes. So it is in there.
Yes.
At the moment, our team is very focused on some statutory planning with the district plan, but as soon as that we'll move then into beginning to scope and develop the program.
The Hornby
and Riccarton as well.
And Riccarton.
I think one of the things I've certainly picked up, if you're looking at this, what you were describing is smack bang in that local area, which is where we had thought and we'd positioned it. So it's been good to get that confirmation. It's broader than just looking at a very small part, which would be where we would come in.
And sometimes you do have to jump down into some small areas. That is definitely needed because sometimes those issues have to be solved at that small level.
And it may be that there's almost, and I'll use site, even though it's not, we normally think of that from council owned, but the footpath issue might be almost at that site level where it can be done separately to the local area, and similarly that the underpass issue could be looked at that level. So that's just some takeaways I've certainly taken.
Okay, thank you. Now, I've got a question for Marie, or perhaps a statement.
Well, so I'm not from Hornby. I'm not representing Hornby, but I have a question on the sub-regional planning because the last couple of weeks we've had public meetings in Halswell, and the major concern there is apart from the growth in Halswell, there's also the growth in Selwyn, and so the congestion now is the people using the local residential local roads in Halswell to get into Halswell to get into town. So I wondered if that was also part of the future planning that's.
That's more the sub-regional level. We would monitor one of the aspects that we do is monitor to see who is coming in from the districts, and I suppose understanding travel patterns changing. And that might be something that we can look at, whether it's hard to pinpoint. Yes, that's what we just probably part of the review.
And is it time bound as well? Because Selwyn is doing a lot of work on that route between the Shands Road route, so the Lincoln traffic has been pushed into Prebbleton, potentially Prebbleton traffic has been pushed.
Also more of those residential development that's happening also in Lincoln or Selwyn area.
Yes, well, that was always going to be
implications
an
to-
issue, the Sparks Road and Milton Street. That was signalled even in the Southwest Area Plan. We knew the fact that that would reach a point where it was levels of service were reducing on down there. So, yeah.
So will that be like a Christchurch, Selwyn?
That's probably more dealt with through the network planning. So whilst we do local area planning, we still continue to do network planning, and that's where it's where we really need to integrate all the layers, all the different disciplines and community. That's where local area planning comes in. But that might be just more of a network, so probably have to understand the issue more.
Just one quick question.
Probably not a very quick question. Getting away from transport and anything else we've talked about so far.
Well, we're welcome if you want, and it's too long for the meeting, just send it through and we're happy to.
Okay, that's probably why.
Because this is one of the things, we haven't been to see you because we have actually been focused quite a lot on our existing work program, but certainly as we, we'll be here, you'll see us quite often.
Thank you.
Okay, can I just drop it?
Yes, you can make it one.
Park and ride,
Yes.
regards to the MRT sort of thinking. If we can get some sort of formulation and thought around where that might potentially be landing, that could be quite useful. Then also industrial interface is another big problem. I'm sure you're well aware of in Hornby.
Yes.
And then with that, the quarrying interface.
Yes.
They're sort of some of the real major concerns.
It's just about every issue in Hornby.
It's very busy.
And opportunity. You say issue,
Absolutely.
but actually I say opportunity.
We can find more if you want.
I'm always quite shocked because Riccarton's busy, but it hasn't got the trucks. And if I'm in Hornby, you've got the trucks on major roads and cars and it.
Quarries just there.
It's hard going.
Just on Big Tin Can.
No.
Are we?
We can work through the governance stuff.
That'd be great.
I only sent it to them this morning.
That's
so-
fine, that's fine.
Thank you,
It'd be
Bruce.
good to access. Thank you.
I'll just wind things up. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. Thank you. Parks. Now, who do we have here for parks? Thank you.
Toby's here, but no one.
We've got two staff.
Hi.
Hey. Kia ora.
Hello, Kiora. You might like to say who you are.
Sure. I'm Jackie,
Jackie.
and a capital advisor for the Parks Department. And
Toby, arborist.
An arborist.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
City arborist.
So you're talking. You're talking.
Also, on Zoom, we have
Yes.
Rupert for
Hi guys,
G'day.
how are you?
somebody else, Karen?
Bridie.
Oh, Bridie.
Right.
Can we also introduce ourselves?
Oh, I think we'll move on actually, just in terms of time. So thank you. We've got half an hour approximately.
That's right. I'm sure we'll be pretty quick.
Thank you.
We received your questions, so thank you for that. So we've got some responses prepared for those questions. So do you want to start, Toby, or should we?
Yeah, I'm happy
Yeah?
to start. Yep.
Okay, so
Go to the questions. I think there were two questions that came in about trees. The first one was about Denton Park. So as you'll be aware, I think I've sent emails in the past, Denton Park is in the next lot of urban forest planting programs that I saw the landscape architects drawing that up. I'm expecting that those will be completed and hopefully out in the next week or two. as long as they all look okay. But that is certainly going through. We've got the cedars marked in there for a long-term replacement plan, as we've earlier discussed. So that's all moving. That's all funded through the Better Off funding for the urban forest planting program. The other one we've got here is the Hornby bush. So ensuring it is a larger part of the urban forest plan. It's part of the large, yes. So the urban forest plan focuses on increasing canopy cover across the city. It focuses on planting within park spaces, so it aligns really well. I just need to get a really good understanding of where that area is. That I've heard these talks about Hornby Bush project. I just probably need to sit down and get a good understanding of where that is. The parts I've seen are largely underneath that transmission line. So there is a lot of work to get approval to plant underneath those lines. We're working with Orion on some smaller sites. Sometimes it's better to do it on those sites first, get that approval, get that understanding of how that works, and then we can start rolling that out bigger. But yes, certainly that will be part of it. And we're coming back to you, not next month, but the month after, with a number of parks for planting that have been out for consultation, have come back, so we'll be coming through with a report for those.
Okay, thank you. No problem. So questions, anybody? Marie, and then Sarah.
Oh,
Mark.
I'm not sure if you know the answer to this one, but hopefully. On this one, the Halswell-Hornby-Riccarton capital schedule by community ward. So there's this item on the Cars Reserve Club Road relocation. In the first year, there's 190,000. I was just wondering what that was for, because we still have the 3.9, which was pushed back further back, but there's 190,000 for the first year. So I was just wondering what that was for.
Oh, I don't have the detail of what the 190,000 would be for. But it's towards planning and pre-investigative work for that.
Is that Debbie?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah, Debbie's on more.
Oh, okay. So planning and investigation.
I would imagine, yeah.
I'd heard some noises that there may be something reasonably imminent with regard to the kart club, potentially around the Waipuna area. So I'm not quite sure who's.
Kelly was working on it.
Yeah, I know Kelly's doing work on cars. She probably
We've heard those noises before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that noise has been there for a long
I know it
time.
has, but when there was a proposal to drop that funding out of the plan altogether, and I spoke to the president of the kart club, and he said probably not a good time right now because we're kind of getting to almost a finalising stage. So hopefully we might see that.
I'll send that feedback to Kelly. So, yeah,
Sorry, guys, I can jump in there. Kelly is working on a report currently, and so is looking to either bring it to you guys or directly back to council in the next couple of months.
Excellent.
Okay,
Thank you.
great.
Good.
Thank you.
I know Bridie had some questions that were sent through for Bridie's area.
Sarah had a question, and then Mark.
Cool. So first of all, when you talked about that transmission line,
Broomfield Common.
it's the Broomfield Common part of that.
Yep. There's a major transmission line going through Broomfield Common.
Yeah, it links up with a whole lot of areas. So just
It's along the bike path,
I'm not overly familiar with
like
the area.
between, yeah, I think it is, isn't it? But the Carmen Road, you get on the, because I biked it the other day.
Yeah, because there's a piece that goes down past the railway, the race course.
Yeah.
But Broomfield Common's the other side of Carmen Road, and it's got the major transmission lines going into Islington, I think.
Oh, so it's the other side. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other thing was just the community, and Riccarton had been asking about in the 10-year plan, there's nothing for Riccarton parks.
Yeah, that we did have that query once before, and the reason for that is that there aren't specifically project named parks in Riccarton, projects particularly named for Riccarton Ward. They are included in the roading renewal packages, so those don't get sort of coded with a ward. They're coded for the whole of city or metro kind of area.
makes it harder to find.
It does, yeah. But
Okay,
those smaller parks fall within a package in one project.
okay.
You know,
Trusting that that's sufficient.
Yeah, because that's something that I know I and a number of other councillors have learned in this LTP process. There's a lot of stuff hiding in programs that we simply don't know what's in there. And I think we're pushing to try and get some more clarity as to what's within these programs and whether we can then identify better.
So Mark, I had you down as for a question. Was that your question?
No.
No, go ahead.
So I heard you say that you're coming back with some of the previously consulted park tree planting plans.
Yes,
That will include something like Branston.
there's no plan. Oh, the Branson plan didn't proceed, so Branson won't be coming through. No,
Okay, so that's been parked.
that requires more time than I have at the moment, so that's been put to the side. Same
It's
with
quite a big
Delange. And we actually got a lot of positive feedback from Branson, but there was a misunderstanding with Branson.
Yeah, jolly good. Talking about Hornby Bush, one of the pieces that's kind of sprung into mind, and it's probably more a Templeton bush in some ways, is this new cemetery is proposed out on the top end of Templeton, and then the sports park as well on that same block of land. Is there any scope to the cemetery?
We haven't got the cemetery specifically, but you'll see when I come back, there's 2 parks that'll be coming through. One's a really small one for Templeton and another slightly bigger one for planting. There's also, I think it's Globe Reserve in the corner, but it's quite an empty park, so there's still other options there. So we are looking at Templeton along with everywhere else. So yes, that's something that can be included.
I guess Hornby Bush is quite topical, and I'm picking it may not be one particular site. It might be a number of sites that form sort of a greater Hornby type bush.
So as part of the urban forest plan, we're doing a thing called forest patch configuration. You might have heard of that, which basically we use an overlay of where all of our forests are planted and how they link to each other. And depending on the size of the forest, how close that is, and you'll have one really big forest patch, and then you'll have a smaller one, and then you'll have a lot of small ones to link them all together. So that'll be citywide. So Hornby would certainly be part of that. And as you'll see, as the plans come through, a majority of the plans that are coming through, all the planting is focused on this area, given its low canopy. So it'll all happen anyway, and we're looking at what those places are.
And there's another interesting reserve. I think it's called trying to get this name. It's on the corner of Springs Road, Hallswell Junction. There's a drainage reserve in there. I think it might be Three Waters stormwater pond.
Yeah, it is.
And there's a bit of planting around it already, and there's quite a big grass area near Springs Road. Is that in line for some development or planting or something?
That's something we'll be working with the Three Waters team on. So there are challenges to those areas. Planting within some of those basins isn't always appropriate. So that's something we work alongside them. I'm not 100% familiar with that, but have to go to them and talk about that.
Because that one's
Wilma's base.
Okay.
No, it's not Wilma's. It's might be Hallswell Reserve or something like that.
Okay. And then in behind the fire station, there's another funny little piece.
There's a funny triangular piece.
That's an ecological reserve. It's a remnant piece of river terrace. So I don't know how you get on planting that.
The other thought of that is, would that be a possibility for a dog park? It's just a lot of the voices calling for dog parks in southwest.
You'd have to look at the status of it because it was an ecological heritage site at one point.
Because they're growing sheep on it now.
Okay.
Little native herbs in it.
If I could just cross to that, Marie. Yes. Go ahead.
Hi again. So the last few weeks we've been doing, our staff have been doing this drop-in sessions clinic for LTP with the residents. And there was a concern raised, which I double checked here in the capital schedule. The concern is that why is there no budget allocation for parks in Riccarton for the next 10 years?
I just asked that before.
Yeah. Oh. So probably I was.
Yeah, you were doing pretty good about it.
So Sorry.
Yes.
So what was the answer?
Progress.
Sorry, it's
I was
hard to
looking
hear
for-
at times. Yeah.
That's okay. I'll also have an accent, so it's okay. The reason for that is that the Riccarton parks are mostly fall under the rolling renewal programs. So we don't see them at individual project level. They're rolled up into like a group project or a delivery package. So that doesn't get marked against the Riccarton Ward, it gets marked against Metro because it covers the whole of the city.
So it's Metro.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
There will be, but there's operational budgets for
There'll be operational and capex budgets
Yes.
for those, yeah.
those.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Any other questions, Murray?
I'll clarify
No,
that.
No.
I was so intent on looking for my.
Hink.
There's an
Sorry.
interesting bunch of trees in the Broomfield Common
Mm.
at the Delmain end, which I wonder whether it could be progressed further somehow, because I think it doesn't appear to get a lot of use. It's not used for sports ground or anything like that. It's just a bunch of trees planted there for a couple of dozen people to walk their dogs through, which is fine. I do it myself, but
Yeah, there's
yeah,
loads of opportunities.
yeah, I think there is. I just wonder whether you thought or would have seen it or.
I haven't at the moment. So the original set of plans I sent through, or the original set of parks that we sent through, we were aligning with the garden renewal program. I think you may see a memo, I'm revisiting that, a memo come back to you with a change in those future plans, because some of those parks were not really getting the higher numbers that we wanted. And there's some other parks nearby that are actually probably better opportunities for tree planting. So you'll see an update come through to you shortly on that as well.
Okay.
If I could ask a question.
I was going to actually ask
Sorry,
something.
sorry, Helen, you go first.
I've been a bit concerned that parks, heritage and coastal environment are in one pocket of 8% of funding, and heritage doesn't seem to fit easily with parks. I mean, I know it does at times like Mona Vale, but have you any idea why that happened, or has it been done by senior management? That grouping?
Way before my time with being with council, but the history that I've been told on heritage was that it didn't really fit alongside any of the other units, so it was the best fit to fit with parks.
Yes, I think
That's my understanding of why it's sitting with parks.
so. If we advocated for it being a separate unit here, it's only 2%, but it's sort of clearer, I guess.
Is this particularly referring to heritage parks as opposed to heritage buildings? Is what
Would you
you're,
know?
would this
There's
probably
parks,
be referring
heritage
to
and coastal
heritage
environment.
parks?
We look after the heritage buildings as well.
Up to the heritage.
Oh, you do,
buildings
do
as
you?
well.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
If I could just jump
Yes,
in,
sorry,
so I
sorry,
put that question to staff about the balance or the proportions of funding. And they've given me a spreadsheet that I will pass on to you. That's actually it has been notified in the capital program. But basically in 2024, the parks and foreshore component of the funding is 60,054, while the heritage management component is 2,669. And that's basically about the same proportion going on through the year. So that it is a heavy bias in terms of parks and foreshore in terms of funding and compared to heritage. But I will pass those figures on to you.
Okay, thank you. Any other quick, Mark?
Quick one. The place that keeps getting raised in my radar is Piripiri Place and Meadow Street, which is, you've got Carmen Road and State Highway 1, and on one side you've got the massive reserve and playground, but on this other side, nearer the racecourse, you've got the same stream carries on. So maybe Three Waters involved, and there's a reserve area behind these houses that becomes very overgrown quite a lot through the summer, and then we put in a request and it gets cut. But then there's still large amounts of vegetation that are left on the banks of the stream. And whether there's something between parks and the Three Waters, we can find a way to look at doing something to better treat that.
Is that the bottom end of the Papua stream?
I think it might be, yes. Yeah.
And there's a pylon corridor through there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah, there is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that we can talk to Parks about, because we're in discussions at the moment about a service level agreement with all our mowing requirements and what have you, so if we get a note through, maybe we'll be able to get an answer from them.
Yeah, because the interesting thing I always, when I get the service come through from the customers, it's like, well, the other side of the Carmen Road with National Reserve is treated like a park. It's beautiful, it's mown, it's planted, it's got playgrounds, but this one's a jungle just now, so we work towards that. That would be kind of handy. Would take a lot of our CSRs out of play because, oh, there it is, it's lovely.
Okay, if I could just say one more thing, and this is probably for Rupert.
Yes.
Sorry, but this came out of the discussions, the LTP discussions, when members were talking about the board submission the other day. And this is around the parking charges at Botanic Gardens and Hagley Park that are being proposed. And I think,
Oh, that's right.
members wanted to, basically wanted to understand better the thinking behind the charges, because there's concerns about, the possibility that the charge could make it prohibitive for some families to go and visit these areas. So if you could.
Yep, I can talk to that briefly, guys.
Can I ask that question? No, can we add on to that question? Was your intention to stop all day parkers?
I guess that's a flow-on effect of the parking app will have that impact, but also it is a revenue stream to help the rates increase. So, I mean, it does do both things, but it's going to be a decision for the councillors to make whether they want to enforce that or not.
Okay, thank you. No, that's good. Thank you. So, any other questions, or we'll wind this session up? Thanks very much for coming in, and you've been very good and with our parks, and it's very good what you've done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Three Waters.
Three Waters, thank you. Who's speaking?
Brent.
Brent, thank
So
you.
apologies from Gavin Hutchison, he's away today, so he would have been here as well. So.
And this is something very close to my interest, actually. I was really concerned Three Waters was potentially going off to some broad agency somewhere. So I'm really pleased it's with council.
Yes, so that will be an upcoming decision for council to make at some point as to which way they want to go with this. So in the meantime, we'll carry on doing our Three Waters stuff for the city. So.
Are you getting any of the engineers back? Getting any of the engineers back from the entity?
Oh, yeah, well, we had people on secondment, so they've come back now, but also the consultancies have got all their staff back as well, so they were getting sucked into a lot of work. But the good thing is that a lot of the information has now been released back to us, so we've got some good work being done on engineering standards and all sorts of things like that.
There's been some wins out of it.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
thank you.
Wait for the next piece of legislation.
Yeah.
So.
And Brent, if I could say, you seem to have brought some calm to Three Waters.
Yeah, it's all a facade. Check the pulse occasionally.
Anyway, thank you.
And apologies for my laugh earlier, but Marie and I have been working on the Cars Street Car Club for about 17 years or more.
More for me. 20 years for me.
Now, just as I did get one question through from you, but I'll just give you a bit of an overview first. A lot of the work in your board area is renewals. A lot of stuff you don't see. It's pipe renewals, pump station renewals, that sort of stuff. And I picked up on Councillor Peters' comment earlier about you don't get visibility, so especially from year 4 onwards, because we haven't drawn down those projects yet. But there's quite a bit happening. Some of the more significant ones, the Riccarton Intersector, which is about overflows and things like that. So that's just going back up again now. We didn't get a good result the first time through, so that's going to make a big difference to things. A few pump station renewals, but quite a bulk of the funding is still focused on the southwest area work with agreements with developers and other retention and stormwater facilities out there. So there's up until about 2030, so about $25 million targeted for that. Another thing, it's sort of right on the border, but there's another big project doing water treatment on both the Riccarton stream and the Addington Brook. And they're happening right down just the other side of the railway line. And there's some new technology being trialled there, and working with the university on that in terms of taking contaminants out of both those areas, especially Addington Brook, which comes from I guess pretty industrial area part of it. So you get a lot of zinc and copper and stuff through there. So those are sort of happening as we speak, about to happen. Now, I did get, the one question I did get through was around chlorination, as to what's happening with that. And we have given briefings to council on this, and we've had the odd deputation, but the current situation is that the current rules being enforced by the regulator are around their water safety standards, and we have source water rules, we have treatment rules, and we have distribution. Now, we're doing some work. We've got an MOU signed with Tamata Arawai. We're doing some investigation work over the next year onto the quality of the water coming out of the deepest of the aquifers. And that's to, if that works out the way we want it, that's going to mean that some new rules that are going to be brought in shortly around virus protection. We're trying to prove the quality of the water, basically. Distribution-wise is the issue Christchurch has got, and that's around the quality of our pipe network. So we have got that dialed back as far as we can. We have to disinfect those pipes to make sure that we don't get any outbreaks in terms of any things like E. coli and things like that. It's down at about 0.2 parts per million, so it's the smallest amount that we can get at the moment. To take the chlorine out of the water completely at this point is seems like a very far away target. It's always a target of this council, not to have chlorine in the water, but at the moment we're working closely to try and get the balance right. To do so would mean that potentially we would have to bring in UV protection on just about everything, and you're talking billions of dollars. So it's as I say, we're working with the regulator on that. What we are doing, and it's not in this board area, but potentially could be in the future, we'll be bringing a report back to council on whether we can provide the odd water tap in the city that isn't chlorinated. We took two out because basically we had two, which were at Burnside and at Keys Road. We think we have a solution there. We're just waiting to see final prices and what have you. If that works out, we'll report back to council, and there's potential that we could do that, but not get it out of the general distribution at this point. We're quite hopeful that with those measures that not only are we're doing what we have to do as a council in protecting our water supply, but we're also complying with the regulations. So that's where we're at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What is the government concerned about? Is it the fact it's artesian water, or is it the fact we have single bores, or what's? Oh no,
it's around disease outbreak, and now you will remember that in Queenstown, we've got a couple of things we're working on at the moment. In Queenstown, they had a protozoa outbreak. Now they treat surface water. They don't have bores, and so they were particularly vulnerable to it, and they've had to spend millions and millions and millions of dollars doing that. We have some shallow bores, which we are slowly either deepening or taking out of commission. generally, if it's coming from, the regulations say that if it comes from about 150 metres down, generally we don't have to treat. So for the last year and going forward, almost for another 8-9 months, we are doing what they call Class 1 sampling. And if we can prove Class 1 water, then that ticks off we don't have to treat the source water. Doesn't mean we don't have to treat for distribution, but it means that we've proven that our water is of good quality.
Okay.
If we can't get that, and an area where we do have to treat, there's some areas on East Peninsula obviously, but for example, the main pumps down in Colombo Street, that's UV treated there, very expensive to run, but it's UV treated because we can't actually get the bores deep enough there because of the volcanic shelf and things like that. So it's quite complex, but it, you know, we live there too, so we don't want stuff in our water as well, but we've got to work to the regulations and keep it safe for everyone.
Thank you. I've got a question from Marie and then Sarah and then Mark. Thank you.
This capital schedule that I've got, I did my own color coding, and I'm happy to know there's a lot of greens on the flood protection and control works, which means they increased the budget.
Yep.
But there were a few reds as well, which was removed from the current to the proposed LTP. And I was wondering what was your criteria around removing some of these projects from?
So with the shifting around of the budget, we haven't lost anything. Some has been pushed out past year 10, and some of that's due to timing. We have to work in a lot of our stuff. We have to work in with the timing of the developers, but it's also, I guess, around priorities. So we are continually doing modelling and looking at the future growth projections. So we might push something out for a couple of years because it's not required quite so early and bring something else forward. So it's a bit of a balance, but we didn't lose anything. In fact, the Three Waters capital budget going forward, especially if some of the amendments go through, will increase and we'll be averaging about 220 million a year. Which is a significant amount of work. There's some big chunks in there, obviously, with the treatment plant and with Akaroa, and there's some more wastewater overflow work in Summerfield and some pressure things going in. They're big chunky works, but we haven't lost anything. It might just be outside that 10-year time frame.
Right. Because in terms of priority, like I was thinking, like with the Halswell, with the growth right now that's happening, and then the flood protection and control works, there are about 3 that's been removed. So
I'm
just concerned there about.
I'll just give you an example. So out in Southwest, and I'm not sure if it's exactly the right spot, but in amongst the $25 million that I can see here, there's 3 infrastructure provision agreements. Now that's where we're working with developers. So if we find the opportunity to do that, then we don't have to do a lot of the other funding ourselves. So sometimes it means that developers are coming in and doing these things for us, and we can take them off our books. Other times it means we have to push them out a bit or whatever. So as I say, we deliberately didn't lose anything, and we still have the ability within the 10 years, if something does suddenly come forward, we have the ability to bring things forward. And there's always delays. So there's a constant moving forward and pushing back.
Thank you. Thanks, Marie. Sarah?
Just go back to the chlorination.
Yes.
So the taps that you're referring to, like the Burnside one, is that UV filters will be installed?
Yes, it's that plus another couple of things.
Okay.
Now that's what, and this is the beauty of working with Te Mata Arawai. They came back to us and said, well, there are a couple of options you have here if the public want to do so, if the council want to do so, and there are 2 councils that have got chlorine-free taps reinstated for the very reason that we've been asked to. Some have done a system where they chlorinate it and then they run it through a filter and take the chlorine back out. And the other one was putting in UV filtration. And That's relatively easy to do on a small flow and not too much to run. But what we are going to do this time, and this will be part of our report back to council as to whether we expand that, is we're putting flow meters on them just to see how well they're used, because it's no point in us spending tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars if it's just a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
I think they will be used based on the feedback we're getting, and then it's a matter of identifying some sites, some safe sites that people can get to. I mean, both of those ones have good car parks. It's not going to cause traffic issues.
Would you be looking at doing, if there was the demand,
Yep.
installing other ones, or would it?
Potentially, and that'll be a council decision, because we'll have to prioritise that against doing something else.
Yep, sure.
Yeah. But that will probably be our recommendation.
Cool. And so I understand that the bores that are below ground, the surface flooding can cause contamination on the bore head. Is that correct?
Say that again, sorry.
I don't know what the word is, but the things that are below ground,
Yes.
the surface flooding can cause contamination on the bore head.
It can do, but there's been a wellhead security program run for the last, I don't know how many years. So all those below ground wells are either being decommissioned or they've been modified.
Okay, so that's not affecting our deliverability.
No.
Okay.
That's part of that class 1 certification that we're going for at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
we've actually closed about 3 pump stations on the other side of town: Māoriha, Burwood, and I think Keys Road might have been.
So nothing in our
Keys Road.
area.
Yeah, no.
Okay, and then just the other question, I guess this is perhaps more of a central government and us kind of lobbying, but there is no data comparing sickness levels before chlorination and after chlorination. There's also no risk analysis done, because we rely on the World Health Organization guidelines, but they haven't looked at the risk factors when chlorine mixes with other things. And
So you're right. That's a central government thing. So, and even if you talk to Tamata Arawai, they're a regulator, so they haven't actually made the rules; they're enforcing.
Yeah, so we just need to get
Ministry of Health, maybe they have. I don't know. And they will have done an analysis on benefits versus other. It'll be a similar sort of thing with fluoridation if that ever gets worse. But we have to have water safety plans for Christchurch. We have those. And we do a general risk analysis on that, but it doesn't go into what's probably actually a central government issue, which is mandating that we have to meet.
I guess something that's a little bit more local, and there's no proof around this, but there have been stories of plumbers, their workload around replacing water cylinders has increased a lot since the chlorination started. That's not data that I can prove, but anecdotally, who would be liable if it was proved that it was chlorine that is causing the issues?
I wouldn't be able to comment on that.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of reasons. We lost a lot of pipe work and water cylinders after the earthquakes as well, just with things getting shaken up.
Yeah.
You'd have to do a complete analysis of the water. It's not something.
It's fine. I just questions that I've done in my research. I thought
you do get a lot. You get a lot of questions on things like that, and there's no dispute because we have had Debbie and his name, sorry, come in and gave us a deputation around things like risk analysis and what have you. But in terms of what we have to do, we're duty bound to abide by the regulations at the moment. And you're right, it's a central government issue.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a question there? Have you got the same regulations under this government as you had under the previous government?
Yes, that hasn't changed.
It hasn't changed.
So those laws, Tamata Arawai's role as a regulator hasn't changed at all. And when this government came in, they said they weren't going to change that because they recognised the risk of a lot of other councils. Okay. So all they've changed is the structure that was proposed to run through rules.
Mark's got a question, and Sarah, have you had everything answered?
Yep, I've taken up enough time.
Cool. One thing that queries in my head, in South Hornby, we're seeing quite a number of regular breakages in our water supply. Is that something that in time will raise a flag and look at renewal for that asbestos concrete network?
Yep, absolutely. And just explain around renewals, around 2/3 of our program is renewals. And we go through and we have a leak detection program, which basically circles the city every 5 years. It costs about $300,000 a year to do that. And we target things based on that, on the type of pipe, the age of the pipe, ground conditions, that sort of stuff. Now, just because we have AC pipe or old cast iron pipe doesn't necessarily mean there's a high breakage rate. When we start to get a high breakage rate in the street, for example, when that data finally doesn't make its way through, it gets added to the program and gets prioritised. We've currently got about 800 streets on the priority program. Over I guess 100-year, 80 to 100-year life of our assets. Looking at the infrastructure strategy, what lasts about 30 years, the funding is about right. Currently, there's a bit of a mountain to get over. So we look at all of those factors, put it into one of our models, and we come out with our priorities. Then we cross-reference that with streets that are coming up, so that we do a one-pass sort of thing. So yeah, it's not exact science. Now we are going to be bringing a paper back to council for the LTP deliberations around our legal data, age of assets, and all that sort of stuff. So it could be an interesting one for you to look at. Yeah. The other paper that's going to beat it there is one around the work we're doing on the wastewater overflows into the rivers and the progress we've made there over the last 20, 30 years. So there's some really good, interesting reading that Michelle's putting together.
Excellent. Next question I've got is talking about.
Mark, would you be able to speak up slightly?
Yep. You might have heard I was talking with the planning team around Amy's Road and the intensification we're getting on there with double-storey, 8-unit, sort of 10-unit. There's probably at least half a dozen currently on the go. More houses being knocked down even today.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So there's real concerns in the community about the capacity of the underwater infrastructure. Anecdotally, they have seen suck-it-up trucks on that street regularly servicing the network. I know I've asked a number of times, you probably got sick of me asking, around the Goff site development and getting assurance that the network will actually cope. So can you sort of comment on the...
But probably have to get our wastewater plan we're just going through our own submissions to Plan Change 14 at the moment around intensification, because all our pre-planning, we did a lot of work, running the southern lead up through Upton Road and places like that. So we've got that extra capacity, and that's part of the work with the likes of the Riccarton Interceptor is taking out of one catchment and getting in where we've got other capacity. So pretty confident that they have got a fairly good handle on that. What we can do in subdivisions, more for stormwater than anything else, is get them to put in tanks and holding capacity and things like that.
Yep.
But I would have to look at it. Perhaps if you drop me an email through, I could get an answer back to you just on the Amy's Road one.
Yep, that'd be great.
We've just employed another person within the water and waste planning team, specifically looking at the growth issues in Christchurch. So it's just started in the last few weeks.
Brilliant. Another thought in my head, doubling back to that Springs Halswell Reserve.
Yep.
I'd love to know what the story is and why that's razor wired off. Is it highly contaminated and therefore never be accessed? Will they start growing second heads on children when they access that reserve? I don't know. I'd love to have some
flick a note through.
Yeah, flick a note through.
Ours will maybe we'll know.
Yep.
Which one was that?
Springs Halswell Reserve and the Springs Road,
Lots of flexes.
Road.
At the roundabout?
Is it next
Which
to the
roundabout?
old car?
Is
Yeah,
that the big roundabout?
Yeah, there is a pick apart yard, right?
yeah, yeah. It's been there a while.
As long as I've been across, it's been fenced off with razor wire.
Mm.
Fascinating.
Maybe because it's deep, and I don't know.
Yeah.
We can find out.
Yep. And another thing that comes up fairly regularly with me, with some residents on Woolmers Road. There's a little lane being put in there probably about 10 years ago, where I think we missed getting the developers closing an open drain. And put a footpath from there right of way for the 10 units to Awatea Road. So that often becomes very overgrown, and I've been known to go out there on Christmas holidays and weed eat the banks just to take the grass down.
Yeah, send it through and I'll find out.
Yep, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions of Brent? Thank you very, very much, Brent, for coming in and the hard work. And you've got a large budget too.
Yeah,
Which is good.
it goes really quickly. I tell you.
Yeah.
Everything's got an extra zero on the end.
Especially contractors involved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brent.
Now I've got Steve Wright. Yes, Steve Wright, if you'd like to come to the table. We all know you, I think. And you.
Hopefully.
Sharon O'Neill.
In a nice way.
We're Sharon O'Neill.
I think Jacob Bradbury should be
We're quite a
online
lot.
as well. I'm online as well.
Hey, Jacob.
Perfect. Can't forget Jacob.
He's an important man.
Who's on that?
Jacob Bradbury.
Oh, hi, Jacob.
Yeah.
Right, we are in your hands.
Have you got any questions or comments you want us to respond to? That's how we've normally done these in the past. Is
So I did,
we're sort of guided by you guys into.
Oh, okay.
I did send one through the other day after our discussions that came from Marie, I think, around Milnes, Sparks.
I suppose it was because here in the capital schedule, it was removed, but then I suppose it's because it's being worked on already right now? No.
It's because it's a private developer agreement, the way it's been delivered, and so we've got it sitting in the program for the subdivision growth project, so it'll just be utilised from there when it's required.
All right.
Yeah, so it's still there.
So it's funded outside the LTP. Basically, is it?
No, it's funded within the LTP, but it's not a project that we have control over because it's developer led. So it sits inside the subdivisions project, which is a line in the LTP.
Thank you.
IPAs.
Okay. So now,
Revision.
so can I continue?
Something like that,
Yes,
Is that-
go ahead.
So in addition to that, so we, Councillor Moore has been hosting all these public meetings for the LTP, and a lot of the residents' concerns, of course, you already know about the footpaths and the traffic in Halswell, and especially, but what's happening right now in Halswell Road, Sparks Road, and everything, it's chaotic right now. So the residents are complaining about that. But in terms of the projects here, I don't know if you were already here when I asked Sarah, Oliver, and Bruce, probably not yet. We talked about the sub-regional planning, and they suggested it was a network planning because of the growth in Halswell, plus the growth in Selwyn, in Lincoln. So we've got all these commuters now coming into Christchurch, utilizing residential local roads, coming into Halswell Road or Springs Road, and to get into the city. Is that probably being looked into? Is it here somewhere in the LTP about that network planning for the area? Because of the growth?
I think the growth externally is a little bit out of our control. Joe, do you agree with that?
We do work with our partners in the Greater Christchurch Partnership. So we are part of the Greater Christchurch Partnership with Selwyn and with Waimakariri. And we have regular meetings with those at various levels. So from kind of the mayors right down to kind of officers to look at particular issues around where growth is going and how it's spread and how the effects of that on the network. But like you say, I mean, then it has to translate into projects in our LTP. So, yeah.
So there's nothing relating to that right
So
now.
the parts that the GCP are particularly interested in are parts around PT Futures, PT Futures and some of the other elements that are in NZTA's control as well. So things like Brougham Street and the Rolleston Works. So we do work together, and they end up in the various LTPs, the various organisations. But yeah, you won't necessarily see them listed as lines in the LTP or that.
I think some of your particular ones in Halls will be things like Savies Road, Wincrops Road,
those local residential roads. Yeah.
Collector roads.
It's almost like we should have a toll when you're at Christchurch.
It's like the Halswell residents are really concerned about because the people from the other district are using local residential roads to get into access into Christchurch.
In terms of specific road upgrades, if they're not mentioned in the LTP, there's no program for that sort of work, but we do have an asset planning team that are looking at the function of the roads and how and future demand and stuff, and feeding into the LTP process.
I think just to second what Jacob said, projects NZTA are pushing like the Borough Morehouse stuff and the PT Futures. Both of those projects are looking to try and capture those people, get them onto public transport, or make Brougham Street more efficient with T2 lanes. So those two projects are looking to try and deal with those people coming from outside our area into our area.
I think the concern is more on the residential local roads. Yeah.
In terms of safety, is that your concern?
The traffic and safety.
Yeah, so there are specific safety projects within the LTP or specific safety programs. I mean, Steve's team mostly looks after those. So.
Cool.
We did have the Halswell Residents Association come and do a deputation to our board or public forum.
All right, yes, they talked about that as well.
Filters on Wincrops Road in particular, so they could basically shut out the Selwyn traffic and say, but come on your bikes or don't come.
Now, it was the same problem 3 years ago too, and probably 6 years ago. It was identified. And I don't know what we can do about it. Actually,
it's very difficult, really.
Yes.
I mean, we have issues. I mean, I know it's not your side of town, but things like the Christchurch Northern Corridor have created issues in kind of inners, and there we have a regulatory requirement to deal with the issues above a certain threshold. But yeah, further down, I totally appreciate what you're saying, but there's not a regulatory point at which we have to do something.
No.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I guess one of the burning questions in my mind, I dragged the Awatea Springs Amy's safety improvements back into the LTP. Is that progressing at any point? It's in the current annual plan, and we've managed to land it so far in the draft for years 1 and 2. Any thoughts, updates around that sort of idea?
It's very, very early planning stage. I think we might have had like 100,000 or something like that. Yeah, so very, very early planning stages. Depending what the outcome is there, the budget that's allocated may not be sufficient. So
cross that bridge as we quantify it further.
But it's certainly got the funding there to moving.
Cool.
As we work through those planning phases, we'll come to the board and keep you all involved.
Excellent.
I've got a question from Marie.
I've just got a question on this one item here on the capital schedule that's been removed. The Sockburn roundabout intersection safety improvement. I would think that would probably be a priority on safety. The Sockburn roundabout. Why has it been removed from?
So when we were doing the LTP, we had constraints around deliverability and affordability, which restricted what we could fit within the program. So we focused on looking after what we've got, so maintaining the assets we've got, focusing on growth where we needed to work in with developers, the existing commitments that we had, and I should have written this down. Growth, commitments, looking after what we've got.
Access.
Oh, and maintaining external fund, maximising external funding. So that we kind of focused on those 4 things first, and that's where the lines got cut and priorities got set. So
I think
I've got it down on my paper here. So has Sockburn gone? Sockburn,
Or has it just been
roundabout,
pushed out to, further out?
well, it's not in the 10-year
Could I-
period.
okay, not the 3.
I have a query.
Can I add to that? Sorry. So the proposed MRT route that's been looked at goes right through the middle of Stockburn roundabout.
Oh, I see,
And
okay.
from my understanding, so it's
further.
the sort of thing where we wouldn't want to commit significant amounts of money and time and
Yes.
energy into something that in 2 or 3 years' time we know we would just rip up and throw away. So it is the sort of thing you'd hold fire on.
Yes, I get it.
Gets
Thank you.
gazumped by the big brother.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, to do anything meaningful there, you would have to spend a lot of money.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions?
I guess one question my mind with regards to transport is to do with the indirections on to State Highway 1. So I've got a rather on Carmen Road in Main South. And there's continual noises from community, like more right turn arrows coming onto Carmen Road from the suburban feeders, like Buchanan's, Waterloo, and those sorts of intersections. Is there any way as a council we can, I guess, promote that and try and raise that as a priority to NZTA to try and get some of these happening?
We're quite a fan of right turn arrows, and we would support pushing them. Unfortunately, it is up to NZTA to accept what we say.
Yeah.
So, have you as a board ever written to NZTA requesting them? Not as an individual, but as a whole board.
We haven't quite gone that far yet. Maybe that's a good idea for us to pick up as a board.
And I think that something like that would go a long way.
So I know that NZTA have from time to time given answers to particularly the Residents Association in Hornby, that they don't see those as priorities because the usage numbers aren't there. But then anecdotally from the community, they say, well, the usage numbers aren't there because people avoid it.
Yeah.
So,
and what I would, again, this is advice, is that if you as the board wanted to, I would say engage a independent transport professional for a couple of hours work to give you a professional advice on what the impacts actually are. Because you'll take it to NZTA, they'll probably come back and say no, because our main priority here is to keep traffic moving and all that and the other. If you got somebody independent say, actually, if you did do this, the impacts might only be this amount. And I think that would be better as a board to use somebody independent rather than council staff.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Can I just go back to the Sockburn roundabout and more the MRT? Because the senior person on council said to me about a week ago, the MRT was 20 years away. You're implying with the Sockburn roundabout and perhaps holding that in the meantime, it could be closer. Is there any estimated timeframe for the MRT?
The plan at the moment is they will spend the next 2 to 3 years developing the route and then putting in a notice of requirement for that route, which will effectively protect the route. And at that point, we'll have a bit more certainty about what it is doing and what it isn't. After that, they go through the detailed business case and start to really get into the design of it. And then after that, I mean, it's anybody's guess whether it comes out with a good BCR and so on. But the point at the moment is we know they're actively working on, is this the right route? Is it not? Where should it go? Will it go that far? How will they stage it? And until they've gone through that process, I just don't think it adds any value for us to spend significant amounts of money on that roundabout.
Okay, no, that's fine. I just wanted, so it could be a 10-year project rather than.
Oh, I mean, 20-year time frame doesn't sound unrealistic.
Okay.
Who knows? We've got no idea and we've got no control because at the moment it's run by NZTA and it's going to require a huge amount of funding from central government as well.
Okay. Thank you.
So the timelines are anybody's guess, really. They could be. Could be 10 years, there could be 20 years. They've talked about staging it and they've given some indications of how they might stage it. And that probably depends on the mode they use, whether they go for bus rapid transport or whether they go for trams on rails. So there's a lot of moving parts. That's the I think that's the point you should take away. And in about 2 or 3 years' time, we will have a lot more certainty about what it looks like and the potential impacts of it along the route.
Okay,
What
thank
you-
you for that. That's
Again, what you
interesting.
could do as a board is ask the traffic engineers to have a look at it from a minor safety point of view and say, is there any super low costs with markings and signs for, 10, 20, 30K that we could do in the meantime?
Okay, good, thank you.
That, for 5 years is might make a benefit. It might not do, but I think that's something you can do. We certainly wouldn't want to spend millions there for just to get ripped out again. But spending something little just to try and make a slight improvement would, something we could look at.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions?
One of the things, there was a project in the current long-term plan, I think, around a industrial link road out in South Hornby. There's been certainly thoughts in my head as to what that was. Is that something that could be of value in regards to the organics processing facility that's landing into South Hornby, and something in the way of bringing more connection and traffic away from perhaps the nearer to residential Horsell Junction Road out of South Hornby?
Jacob, do you know anything about that?
I vaguely remember it. I'd have to go away and come back with an answer. I vaguely remember talk about the link road, and I could probably just about put a dot on a map to say where it was, and I couldn't say anything more than that at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, my thought is I wonder whether it's to do with Pound Road, an extension thereof through to Shands Road.
It was to do with, there was a growing industrial area and it's getting access onto Main South Road, and beyond that I can't remember exactly what it was and what the options were.
I think I saw a plan recently from Calder Stewart where they're looking to do a private plan change in that area, and it seemed to suggest the Pound Road Main South intersection actually looking at having an extension put on it.
Okay.
We need to go away. I mean, I think if it's the same bit that I'm thinking of, then it's probably something Chen's involved with, Sharon, so we probably need to go and speak to him.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think that's the end. Thank you for coming in. It's been much happier than our previous encounters.
Actually, I guess
Don't lie.
there's one last one that's in Horsell Junction Road. I understand that NZT are looking to hand that back to us as a council.
Yes.
And at the moment, it's in a hell of a state. Big potholing on.
So there's a lot of negotiations going on behind the scenes on that, and I can assure you, Steve Guy, the maintenance manager, is doing everything he can to make sure he gets as much as he can to look after that road.
And the same applies to Main North and various other bits that are off the Belfast bypass as well, West Belfast bypass. So there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. Yeah.
Last time we was poison chalice has been given back to us.
No, we're trying our best to get as much as we can. Because it makes our life easier.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Enjoy your evening.
Cheers.
And I just want to acknowledge Mark.
Good improvement, but definitely getting it.
Good.
I just want to acknowledge Mark for coming in, because Andre felt councillors couldn't take part in our long-term plan submission, but they can unless there's a personal conflict. So if you were, say, an executive of Denton Park Rugby, you couldn't take part in Denton Park Rugby, anything on Denton Park Rugby, but you can come in, and I invited Tyler to come in, but he was coming in on Zoom, but it hasn't happened. But they are welcome, and they can stay, and they can put forward their point of view if in fact they wish to.
Mark has such a vast knowledge of Hornby.
I know.
It's really helpful to
I know.
hear.
And this is just an information session anyway.
Yeah.
No, but what I'm trying to say is Mark's here if he wants to stay for our submission process.
Oh,
he
the
can.
ones that's after this.
Yes, Andre had the view that they couldn't participate, but he's incorrect on that.
No, but I don't know if Mark is staying.
Oh no,
Probably
he sort of
not.
may not be,
Yeah.
but he may be too. It's either or.
So do you want to take a break
Yeah, well,
Helen,
Probably.
and come back.
5
to
minutes.
What do you want?
Do you want to take a
Adjourn.
break?
I
And
think so, do you?
yeah.
Yes. 5-minute break?
No, the briefing, the information session is over,
Over.
but we're going to have
A discussion.
Submission.
an
submission.
LCP. We will come back online.
We'll
Okay,
come
it's
back.
just at the moment, there's nobody online.
No, but we will come.
We'll
back.
probably have to go offline, though, won't we, for 5 minutes and then come back on.
We'll reconvene that.
just say we're back online. Faye will take us through the issues one by one and we'll discuss again.
Are you just going through the red ones or you?
So there was the other day the board has had some discussions around its submission to the long-term plan and agreed some points that would be submitted on and identified other areas that they wanted to give further consideration and perhaps receive further clarification on. So where possible, obtain that further clarification, and I can probably provide that tonight. But how do you want to do it? Do you want to go through the whole submission again, or are you happy?
I think
the
I
content
think
in the
the
blue
best
is what
thing
was
is
agreed. Yeah.
we go item by item, and first you come up with extra information, and then if there's any change which someone's put through, we discuss the changes. Thanks, Mark.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can I suggest that Faye just reads the blue, what we formulated?
Oh, no, not the
We don't
blue,
need
the
to go
blue
into
is
it
the
again.
extra information.
No,
is it?
no, the blue is what the board agreed at its last session.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So I can go through that quickly
yes,
with you.
quickly, okay.
Yeah, okay.
The blue.
So,
Okay.
but for Henk's sake as well, because he wasn't.
Yeah.
I have read it.
Okay.
Okay.
He had the document.
Take it as read.
Well, can we take it as read then?
Yes, you can do it whatever you want to do.
So the only comment there was from Helen on that second bullet point about not to include the reintroduction of library funds for radio items at the beginning.
Such a small item, and I think
I
we
mean,
better
we
put
can put it
a
at
major
the-
one.
At the end,
I
as a
think that's a good idea.
suggestion.
Yes, a
So you
major
want-
one like the having a look at the council control
So we just want to,
companies. Yes.
you're just wanting to
Cut it
stop
off from there.
after encourages council to investigate other options.
And
full stop.
and
And
yeah,
give an
move
For
that-
revenue, sorry.
And give an example rather than the library fines.
and
The
move that to the
having
other-
a look at possible increased dividends from the council control.
Well, it was more about
What did you want to say
Or
there?
is there anything else?
investigate
Or where?
to invest and divest.
I wouldn't
you know
divest.
what? No, but
Where was that?
Investigate
It was-
efficiencies.
options to increase the financial return to
That
ratepayers
sounds good. Yes,
from CCHL.
yes. That's quite good,
Such
actually.
as, sorry, here, can you read it? Such as.
So which
Options,
Okay. Such as,
options to increase the financial return to ratepayers from CCHL.
It's a,
Is that the one that you were talking about? That the council voted down? Now, I think, because I did look into that, and I think that does have something to do with the asset sales.
it does.
That's what we talked about.
So, yes, and
But it was
just-
only investigating it. It
No,
wasn't-
but that was the point, that's why it
That's why it was voted down.
Yes.
But I think if we look at efficiencies and
Yeah,
returns,
because,
in terms of a
no,
business,
because if you look into it and then you find out that, okay, this was sold, then you have no choice but to sell. So it's that first step, that's why it was voted down, not to even go
You've
there.
always got a choice of where to sell it.
absolutely, and having a business mind, you need to be aware of, you know,
Yes, but I,
assets that aren't working well.
yes, but I think that
generating
was a
income.
very controversial and very hot topic in council,
Good.
that they did decide on it, and probably we just stay out of it. We don't want to rehash it.
Oh, no,
We
see, I
just-
disagree. Yeah.
I mean, we're only putting up that as sort of an example. I mean, we aren't saying, if we
Well,
make
how
it
do
an
we-
example phase, so it's an
Because
example.
that's what I said, that
I know.
we,
such as options. We put it there. We look at other options for revenue, such as
no,
options to increase.
wasn't there,
What's another large thing we could look at Christchurch, New Zealand.
No, hang on.
How
Can we just
that's
talk
functioning.
specifically about this one? Because it would be, like, I personally, for the community, in terms of reducing rates, it was an option that could have reduced rates by, I think, around 3.5%.
but and then I think the council did vote that down. They decided against
That
it.
doesn't mean to say that we have to agree with it. Huh?
Yeah.
But then I agree with it.
I tend to agree with what they did, but I
Yes.
do think it's an option.
So how do
I mean,
we,
it's a-
how do we
well, they can
formulate an
still look at
answer that encompasses both of our views?
Well, they can look at it.
They can look at other options. And that's what I was saying, that we actually don't know what all the options they looked at and what they discounted, what they,
Yes.
you know, it's, so
one
it's wide,
option-
so they would know what, we don't know all the options. They probably have, they can look at,
Look
more-
at increase.
explore options, because that's what we. I think-
This is what they voted down, was exploring the options. It
No,
was not,
of that particular topic,
Ah.
but other options are open, except
yeah, but
this
this,
one.
this for me is one that could have reduced our rates on our residents by up to 3.5%, if I remember correctly. This is the biggest thing that
So
I'm
that
hearing
means
from my residents,
it-
is that the rate rise is too high.
Yeah.
And this would have the most impact.
So you are in
What
favor
about,
of that
for
sales of
example,
assets,
Faye?
if
No,
they
no.
find, yes, because if they find out,
Investigating,
yes,
I, like you, I don't know the finer details, the
Yeah.
ins and outs of how they got to that 3.5% around the dividends and da-da-da, but
but they would have looked at it already. That's why it was a very hot and controversial
so
topic
how
in
come it
council.
can't be reconsidered?
Yeah, let them have another look at it.
Yeah,
We could, sort-
At our
I think
request,
it would
because it is
change
a
it
big
a bit. For-
issue.
For example, Faye, for
example.
could we
would be-
say-
example, just an example. It's not, it's
No,
not a,
it's
it's not a
still,
statement.
but it's still opening it.
It's
a can of worms.
opening it up, isn't
but
it?
Marie,
Opening
help me,
a can of
help me
worms.
understand why you wouldn't want to explore something that could give our residents a decrease in rates.
Because I'm not for the sale of assets.
But this doesn't.
And it's
direct-
opening,
because it says
opening a can of
flexibility
worms,
to
yeah.
invest and divest. It doesn't say sale of assets.
But it's still, when you look at it closely, when you open it, it will open a can of worms for them.
I mean, it's saying to increase the financial return to ratepayers. I think that's okay. I mean, I'm against asset sales too, but it's if they can give a sharper return.
Sharper return defining. You know, in business, you have to look at everything that's working and not working. And if you've got
So
something
maybe
that's not,
investigate without selling.
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, so that's what
Yes,
we
I'm
have
happy
to
with
put
it.
in
Yes,
words.
I
in
think we do.
writing.
For example,
Investigate
reviewing
without
options to increase financial
selling.
return rate of CCL.
Investigate other options.
without
Say if you've got
selling
an asset, say if you've got a business that is an asset, but it's not performing and it's
So
not
look at other
generating,
options.
it's not generating income.
So
Are
what
you
can they
saying-
do about it to improve
Yes,
or whatever, but
correct.
not to
Yeah,
sell.
that's fine.
Yeah.
to sale.
But they have to investigate it to find
So
out whether it's actually
investigate,
returning it.
yeah. So
Yep.
at least we can meet halfway there, investigate
So the
at
words
options, but not to
I've
sell.
But not to sell.
The words I've drafted here
That's it.
are encourages the council to investigate other options for revenue. For example, reviewing options to increase the financial return to ratepayers of CCHL without selling the asset.
Yes, put that down.
Is that,
Without,
does that capture
I mean-
your
without
thought?
the sale.
I mean, there are
assets,
of
yeah.
assets,
Yeah.
but there are plenty of things.
Because the
with-
port
like-
companies are about 2%.
It's like the airport and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they sometimes give good returns, but often they aren't all that crash hot.
So
really.
Marie, we've
Yeah.
added a few words.
So-
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm okay with that too.
For example, reviewing options to increase the financial return to ratepayers of CCHL without selling the asset.
That's it. Yes, I think that's all right. It means we won't get, yes, once we go before them, yes. And we can say, yes. And there's probably other things they can do too.
Without selling
Yes,
assets.
without
Without selling the asset. So
Yeah.
talking specifically about CCHL.
Mm.
in that case.
It's got about 4 or 5 companies under it.
It's just, it's
a
just
double up of options and that thing, so that's why it's reviewing
know, but-
opportunities.
on face value, I'm with you. I disagree with asset sales. However, if there's opportunities to invest that cash into something that's performing better, why would we not consider that?
Mm.
I just feel like limiting our options is.
And we need to have a big chunk in there. We can't have a small, like the library fines, it's too small a thing to give you the.
No, I'm just talking specifically about this. And I don't know how much weight will be given to this anyway.
So we'll just go with that. We don't know how much weight is going to be given to that anyway.
Yes, I think it's fine as it is.
That is in the middle.
In the middle.
Well, yeah, I don't.
That's in the
without
middle.
selling the asset. Yeah,
That's in the middle.
Yes.
We're compromising there in the middle.
And the Christchurch, New Zealand had huge salaries at one stage. It was in the Christchurch Star. So they had a manager at 300,000 and 6 sub-managers at 185,000. Now that might have changed, but there's those sorts of things that can be looked at. Are they paying people too much? But I mean, yes.
We can move on to the next.
Moving on to
the next one.
Oh, you've got new information on that?
No, not on
that
point. Next topic was rates, and we were asked to select one. And what we agreed was we would select yes to the question, should we maintain existing levels of service and level of investment in core infrastructure and facilities? But comment there, while the board considers the council should be maintaining existing levels of service and levels of investment in core infrastructure and facilities, it is aware that many residents consider that the proposed average rates increase of 13.24% across all ratepayers and an average residential rate increase of 12.4% are not acceptable, and that any increase should be less than 10%.
I agree with that. Everyone agrees.
Yeah, I agree.
The second
it's what people think.
The second comment was the board is aware that it is not only service levels that impact rates and urges the council to explore other options for revenue to enable a lower level of rate increase. The board appreciates the inclusion of rates analysis provided in the consultation document that enables residents and business owners to see the likely increase in their rates that will result from the proposed budget.
Right. That was good. It's really positive, actually. They normally do the average rate, and it's really good. They had everybody down.
Next one.
So moving on to the next, which was the topic of the extension of city differential rating for urban areas. Now, I think this was a topic that you wanted to consider a wee bit more.
Instead of urban areas, that actually refers to the suburban centres.
Oh, to suburban
centres.
Yeah.
Oh,
not to urban areas.
Yes, sorry, my
that's
mistake.
wider.
Yes.
And we can say we support that. Do we make
Mark said
mention
that,
of the properties that might be?
No, it's just
because there's probably more than what we
it's
know.
just to extend to the suburban centres.
And he felt it could then extend to other areas.
So we're saying now,
like Riccarton, we've got Antonio Hall and the sale yards owned by an overseas owner who's never done anything with them.
And so that makes sense.
Yes, it makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah.
So we're saying the board supports the extension of city vacant differential rating to suburban centres. Take out the question mark.
Yes, thank you.
Turn that blue. Then we've got the other point. The board supports the proposal for rating visitor accommodation in a residential unit as a business differential if they're used for unhosted short-term accommodation for more than 60 nights per year, have a resource consent for such activity, or are predominantly used for such activity.
We can probably take this as read, Faye.
Okay, you happy with that?
I'm happy. You happy?
I'm fine with that.
Yep. Okay, we're going on to fees and charges.
The next one. No. It's the age-based qualification that Helen had the question.
No, it's not. We'll come down to that. Fees and charges is next on the template.
No, it's the next bullet point.
Oh, sorry, I said read.
Oh, sorry, under 2. You said take a read as read.
I was meaning that whole thing take as read.
That one. The age-based, because Helen had a question on that.
Oh, yes, I had that. And you found out, Faye, that anyone over 65.
Yes, so currently anybody over 65 can qualify
eligible.
Qualifies automatically for a rates postponement. The proposal is to
regardless of significant hardship.
To make that change now, it will be that anybody, age isn't a factor, it's the need is the factor. That's what the change is proposed.
The issue is,
so
for me,
currently
it's taking away what older people currently have?
I can probably find the.
So currently, older people
I mean,
can apply even without hardship.
For a
yes,
postponement, not for a remission.
Yeah, apply for postponement,
yes,
even without hardship,
well,
So
without
now
defined
they're-
hardship anyway.
without
Defined
signature.
hardship. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But now they're taking away the age-related
Yes.
basis,
So I've got a
and it
question.
has to be based on hardship.
Yes. So I've
So
got a
even
question.
the older people.
Yeah, so I've got
So
a
that's-
question mark about that one. Should they be made, I know Ralph Manjas was saying that older people, recently in the campaign trail, older people can always apply for the rate sort of rebate. So can we just put that, we have a question mark about that? Because I think it's a.
No, because we have to
change.
finalize it now.
No, but I mean saying we have a question mark as a board about that. It's quite a change.
Yes. So what he's told me is currently over 65 qualify automatically. The proposed change is to the financial hardship irrespective of age.
No, I disagree with that.
And he's given me a copy of.
So the over
policy.
65 did not
It's not
have to
changing.
be. No.
It's changing.
Yes.
It's changing because before, currently, it's not based on significant hardship. As long as you're over 65,
Yes.
you're qualified.
Yes.
But now you have to prove you're in significant hardship.
That's a bit I disagree with.
So, yeah,
Because
so that's
it's-
a change
I
now.
feel
I
easy
don't
about it.
like this having to prove
Yeah.
that you're hard up,
I agree.
because there's an
So-
awful lot of people out there that are going to prove
So
they're hard up.
maybe,
Can't prove, and they're on a fixed income, their
Fixed income
pension,
now.
Hard up.
and
And
they may be asset
It's
rich,
urban
but
homes.
so
their income
is there a
isn't.
way we can word it that the 65 retains that
we could say
that,
that, if you
and then
agree with that.
and then make it available to any age
Others as
with
well.
significant
Yeah.
hardship.
I certainly agree with any age with hardship. Yeah.
Any age with significant hardship, but retain the
The
over
current
65,
is-
the current.
Is.
The board support, sorry. I'm just trying to think of the words. So the board supports
That's what we wanted, right?
extending qualification.
Yeah, I think
Sorry,
that's a good thing for anyone who's in the hardship.
Yeah, who's in a hardship, but the over 65 will still automatically.
Yes, qualify if they choose to go that way.
Yeah.
It's such a
Rates,
change.
postponements.
And they have been, the council in the past have
nearly
been
there.
really proud of this policy.
But I don't have rates. I don't have rates.
It's good.
I'm not paying rates, I'm renting.
You are paying it through your rental though.
Up to the rental, but.
If the rates go up, you can get your bottom dollar, your
Oh,
landlord's going to raise your
Like
rent.
$20 a week.
And then I can. No, but that's only postponement.
No, but you're not paying the rate,
No,
it'll be your
yeah.
landlord.
Yeah.
But he'll put the rates up this time. He'll put his rental up. I
If
reckon by
you've got
about
a,
$20
if
a
you've
week.
got a landlord, for example,
My landlord's
it's
not from
over-
Christchurch.
but if the landlord, for example, is older at the moment, they could probably get the rates rebate, can't they?
Oh, it would be
You only
the
get it
people,
if you're in a.
you'd have to be people in your own house, I think.
No, I've heard of people that are in rest homes applying for the rates rebate for the houses that they own.
Oh, have you?
Yep.
Well, we could say we don't accept, but it needs to be restricted
But
to
that's-
people who are in owner occupier.
That's different.
residence.
Rates rebate is different
Oh,
to, that's a
rates-
rates
oh,
remittance. We're talking
postponement.
about rates postponement.
Okay.
So rates postponement.
Yes.
So we support the, no, we support retaining the
Retaining the
current,
current policy for
current-
over 65.
yeah.
Because
And then we support extending to
the hardship grounds to
everybody else.
That seems fair to me.
Yeah.
You can be in hardship
Just
at
don't
32.
remove, don't take it away from the over
No,
65.
no. That's what
Keep
they're
it as
doing.
it is.
Yes.
So what I've written now, I hope this captures it. The board supports extending qualification for rate postponements to people of any age experiencing financial hardship. I would say hardship, but considers that the automatic qualification for those aged 65 or older be retained. The current automatic qualification, perhaps?
Yes, correct. current automatic qualification of over
Over
65.
65
Be
applies.
retained.
Be retained.
It is retained here.
Is
Yeah.
that okay?
Yes, it's fine.
Do you want to put those words up and Marie?
So that's what I was wondering. I thought you were the one typing. I
Take
was,
them to me again, because I didn't,
Yeah, the board supports
yeah,
extending qualification
yeah.
for rates postponements to people of any age.
Yeah.
Who are experiencing financial hardship. But considers that the current automatic qualification for those aged 65 years or older be retained.
Where they're owner occupied.
Where
Not-
considers that
not
the
just for
current.
rental.
I think
Well,
we
they're
make
not
it,
gonna be able to know
but it's the
that.
we're
current,
owner
that's the,
occupied.
whatever the
The current
current
provision, sorry.
policy.
Yes, the
That the
current
current
provision.
automatic qualification for postponements for those.
Automatic.
Where the ratepayer is the occupier.
For those aged 65 years or older, be retained.
Those.
Years or older.
Or older, be retained.
Now, I have this on my copy, but I just want you
Yeah,
folk
yeah,
to
yeah.
see the words.
So is that what it is there? You're happy with that there?
Board supports extending qualification for rates postponements to people of any age who are experiencing financial hardship, but considers that the current automatic qualification for postponements for those aged 65 years or older be retained.
That's great.
I think we need to comment on that, say where the person's living in the house. Because I
But
think
we don't know what the current policy is.
No, the current policy doesn't say that.
It doesn't say.
There's not,
that.
there's probably a weakness.
No.
it's a bit silly because if the person's got half a dozen rentals, which quite a few have, then, I'm not sure that the council owes them a rebate or a,
No, we don't. It's the owner
Yeah.
occupied.
It's not a rebate, it's a postponement.
It's a
well, even a
Yeah,
postponement.
but even a postponement.
I don't think they
No.
do
Well,
because
we've said the current,
With the
you
current,
have said the current policy.
current automatic qualification, so whatever their
Well,
current policy
Yeah,
is.
perhaps, what do you think? Is it current policy or
whatever.
leave it at current?
I don't think it-
So do you want me to go over the next point, which is about the remissions policy being altered around not-for-profit community-based organisations?
We actually
And we just said the
agreed on
board
that, didn't
supports
we?
it.
Yeah, I
Do
would,
you realise that it's introducing the word may, which means at any stage, council could just say, okay, we're not going to offer this anymore.
See, that's what I said. We don't know what the wording is.
They've
So
already
it's
agreed to this
simplifying
now.
is
Yes, I think we're just saying keep what you've currently got.
simplify,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
But I suppose when they do change the policies, they will go out for consultation anyway.
No, that word may will give them the ability not to go out for consultation. There's a word may that's been added into it.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Faye.
No, it's all
Support
right.
yeah, because that's what I was pointing out last time. I couldn't support it because I didn't know what the wording was, but then we agreed just to support in general,
I think-
simplifying
I
the
think-
wording.
I think we just leave it as it is.
Yeah,
Um,
because it didn't give us the wording.
Moving on to fees and charges. Now, this was about the Hagley Park parking charges.
And
we've
Botanic
learned a bit-
Garden.
Yeah.
You've learned a bit more tonight. The initial position of the board was the board does not support the introduction of parking charges that could result in impacting access of families to these facilities, but would be supportive of the charges to deter all-day parking.
I think that's
I'm
good.
fine.
Anything over 4 hours.
It's really
or
good,
Yeah.
but we need to
Yeah.
just highlight this pertains to Armour Street and Riccarton Ave.
I've said parking charges at the Botanic Gardens in Hagley Park.
No, but Hagley Park, we need to stipulate that it's the
North Hagley
tennis
Park.
Well,
court
this is
car
what I've
park
said, it's
and not,
they're called Hagley Park. And
yeah, but we need to differentiate between. the-
So we
So
support that,
North
but
Hagley
not
Park.
this one.
North Hagley Park.
North Hagley Park,
Which
Yep.
is
Car
North Hagley
parks.
Park.
the gardens.
Oh, yes,
The
the gardens.
Charges at the Botanic Gardens in North Hagley Park.
Yeah.
Yep. That could result in impacting,
So what?
But hang on, I think we need to stipulate the exact car parks we're
Okay.
talking about.
right?
So at the Botanic Gardens Armour Street car park
And the one,
and the Riccarton Ave.
yeah, so that's all north, that's the only car
North.
parks anyhow, they're all in North Hagley. car
North
park.
Hagley.
Yeah.
I'm
Street.
actually supportive of not banning cars, but having them parking for short times on the other side of Riccarton Avenue. So the argument there is it would affect nurses, isn't it?
So is that,
But I think
is
it's a
that
health
other
issue.
car park, Sarah, you're talking
So then-
about in Riccarton Avenue, the one that's accessing Archery Lawn?
Yes,
That's the one,
yeah.
near the cafe?
No, there's the one near the cafe and then there's the one by the tennis courts in North Hagley.
Yes, yes.
So it's by the tennis club.
And they're quite busy with
You
them.
walk to the
no.
gardens over the bridge and then you head the playground.
Not a kiosk in there.
No, that's the other side.
Sure.
So that's
So the main
Arma.
gardens
Yeah.
car park is the
Yeah.
one we,
Is the Arma.
Yeah.
no, sorry, yes,
Armour
Armour,
one.
yeah.
And then the other
One
car
is the
park
Riccarton Ave one.
is the one that goes to the cafe?
No,
Well, you can go to the
tennis-
cafe, but it's by the tennis court.
Tennis
So
court.
I'm not sure where the tennis court.
As you drive in, the
Further back.
tennis courts are to the left.
To the left.
And,
Yeah.
and the
And
Botanic Gardens.
then the
You go-
cafe is on
yeah,
straight
yeah.
on to the,
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
yeah, yeah, I know the one at the.
so if you're
cafe.
driving to the hospital
Yeah.
down Riccarton Ave, from Riccarton,
Yeah,
you're going to the
from here.
hospital, yeah. And then the car park that's on the left
Yes.
is the one they were talking about. You drive a little bit further up and you get to the hospital on your left.
Yeah, so the car parking that you said, you turn left, because I know that one goes to the cafe.
You can get to the cafe, yeah.
Yes,
It's
so we're
Tina's
talking
Plus
about
Cafe.
all, that whole stretch there, the car park. Are there,
Just
how
the
many
car-
car parks are in there?
So you've got, so looking at the map here.
Yeah, good idea.
Right. So you've got North Hagley Park here. So you've got your Armour Street entrance in
Yes.
here with the car parking. It's hard to see it with the
Yes.
trees, but all in there. The other one is the one that goes in off Riccarton Ave down
That's right,
here,
yes.
that goes in and down here.
And it helps the tennis courts too. It helps them park there too.
Yes, so see, it's a really long stretch and you drive in and you've got car parks, got a long stretch, and then to get out, you've got to drive alongside the tennis courts to come back.
That's
So
right.
there's a car park on the left side and then there's car parks at the end to the cafe. Because
So there's all these.
Yeah.
620 cars.
So there's all of
That one.
these here. So you go in off Riccarton Ave, going off here.
so we're here on the left side, hospital on the right, yeah.
Yeah, so the
Okay.
hospital is there. So
Yep.
you're coming down from the
Yep.
Riccarton Road corner, you're
That's
coming
right.
down towards the hospital and you're going into here.
Yep.
And there's these car parks here.
Ah, there.
Okay.
And then where's the
took my
cafe?
kids in
The
there a lot.
cafe then, to
Right.
go to
Way
the
over
cafe,
there.
so you go in, you go across there and you go sort of, it's around down there, so you sort of, you get the sort of the playground.
Because I,
first.
no, because I remember I parked
There's the visitor
somewhere
centre there.
and then it's just outside
On the other
by
side
the
of the river.
cafe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're talking
Yeah.
about that other car park.
Yeah, you're on
Yeah.
the wrong car park
Where-
altogether.
yeah,
okay.
out
You're-
here.
You're talking about Armour Street
Underneath
car
those
park.
trees.
All that there is car park.
Underneath those trees is car park.
Yeah,
And you
there's a
go
lot.
across the footbridge
You
there.
know, you drive along,
No, I remember coming in from Riccarton Road. Is that what street was that? There was a street or no. So coming from Riccarton Road, turn left and
No.
then it went straight and then I know we just across come out to the cafe.
No,
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 So where's the cafe?
you're not going to do
The
that.
cafe's moved now. Isn't it? Anyway, the
it's
cafe.
there.
Yeah, the cafe.
That is the centre.
But it's got the visitor centres there.
Yeah, the visitor center. Hang on.
So what the booklet.
It doesn't matter though, because these are the two car parks that we're referring to that we don't want to.
Isn't there some car park
Yeah.
some out here?
No.
Somewhere here?
No,
No,
So what the consultation document says.
because you
is,
can't even get your car in there.
One of the ways we can help to minimise the rates increases by passing costs on to people who use service directly rather than to ratepayers. In most cases, they add less than $1. One of our more significant proposals is to introduce parking charges at Botanic Gardens and Hagley Park. The approximately 620 car parks would generate $2 million a year based on $4.60 for 3 hours. If we don't proceed with this proposal, there would be an additional 0.31% rates increase in the first year.
Well, I don't
with
think
no
that's a
impact
bad,
of-
I don't think it's a bad add-on, actually. I actually think it's essential for families to go with their children, to go and be able to
But
park.
the issue is, how do we stop people parking there
Park all day, that's the issue.
So
they have
how
to
do we
focus
work
on.
that out?
Yes, that's
And-
the focus.
So maybe we could emphasise that.
Yes.
Well,
So
that's what we have said.
Okay.
We've said that we do not support the introduction of parking charges that impacts on families' access, but would be supportive of charges to deter all-day parking.
Correct.
That's good.
And with
Or
the,
perhaps we should charges or other measures to deter. Do you think? I don't know. It's up to you.
But how can they distinguish from an all-day parker
Okay.
to a?
Oh, no, they'd have to have, you'd have to have coupons or something. It can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have the standard coupons,
Yeah, the coupons of,
and
Yeah.
after 4 hours, it charges you.
and after that, it's you charge.
Yeah, so it's free. You can do that. So you do that already, where there's
That's
free,
right.
free for the first half hour,
Yep.
free for the first so
Yes.
long, and then
Yeah.
okay.
pay
Yeah.
if you're over
So-
that.
So you just extend their free time.
At the Botanic Gardens, Armour Street Car Park
I've got,
and North Hagley Park.
I've got at
Ah.
the charges at the Botanic Gardens,
Gardens.
Armour Street Car Park and Riccarton Avenue, North Hagley Car Park.
So
Well,
that's
that's
the
different to
only
what's
two,
up there.
that's the only, no, that's, I'll put that, because
Oh.
they're the only two car parks that are for Hagley Park.
What about the one by the cricket ground?
That is the North Hagley, so they're
Oh,
both North Hagley
Okay,
car park.
okay, that's fine.
Cricket,
Okay.
South Hagley.
By the cricket, no, no, that's South Hagley.
Yeah.
So is
They're not talking about that there, are they?
is
Well,
that
this is what we need to
included?
clarify. So we've got, I'm just a bit confused because what's written up there is not phase screen, is it?
No,
My screen says,
Do
at
you
the
want me to-
moment, this is,
give this to you to,
well, then we can't show it on the live stream, that's all. Can we?
yes, you can, because it's, what I'm gonna do is pass, hang on.
What it says here in the consultation booklet is that introducing the charges at the Botanic Gardens in Hagley Park, and that is all it says. It doesn't specify.
So are you concerned about it going to the other side? Because I think it's quite good to go to
No, but Helen,
the
we
other
need-
side.
No, because there's nurses and hospital visitors that use that car park that I do not want
Well,
to.
hospital visitors, I don't think the nurses should be.
And I've met security issues.
But a car park now, it's too expensive. That's the issue. The hospital's going to have to fund that, I think, somehow.
Is the live stream gone off?
No, it's still there.
Well, I guess we can just
It was just the camera went off.
go with what in fact we've got, I guess.
What do you guys think?
At this stage, just
I think
everyone's agreed on
Do
this.
we
so,
just
yes,
just
let it go.
go?
yes,
So are we,
Council will make a decision, and I
Yes,
think we're putting
yes,
way too much time.
yes.
so are we saying the Botanic Gardens, Armour Street Car Park and Riccarton Avenue, North Hagley Car
That's
Park?
right, at
Correct.
present, yes.
Yeah, let's just leave it at that.
Okay, thank you.
We can live with that.
Botanic Gardens, Armour car park.
The Botanic Gardens, Armour Street Car Park and Riccarton Avenue, North Hagley Car Park.
And if there's a question, we could say the board's divided on that other car park. If there happened to be a question on it, but it's sort of unlikely.
So moving on to.
Which is the next one?
Hagley
Two.
car park.
Operational spending. The question we asked, are we prioritising the right things? The board had agreed to say yes, we are prioritising the right things. And to comment, the board considers that the proposed spending accords with feedback provided in response to the What Matters Most consultation. And then asked to clarify the provision about the roadmaps for chlorine exemptions, which has happened, hasn't it, Sarah?
Yes, so we could still just
And how the thing was divided and how it was divided between Parks, Heritage and Coastal.
so we could just say we support.
The board considers that the proposed spending accords with the feedback provided in response to What Matters Most consultation.
Yeah.
It's the only comment we have.
We
in
support the development of a roadmap for chlorine exemptions.
there. Okay.
It's
Cyril,
just emphasising that we want to make sure council is still doing all it can to meet the requirements,
Yeah,
because we can't get a chlorine exemption until the council satisfies the requirements of
Great,
the.
yes. Great. And this is where I came up with my point too, isn't it? That they need to separate out heritage from parks and coastal environment.
Well, they're not
They
going
have.
to do that.
Well, we could ask them for
No,
it.
no, they have. They
It
told us the
isn't-
figures.
There it is, there. It is in the actual plan. It's not in the
Oh, I see,
consultation document,
but
but
it's
it is in the
plan.
annual
Okay.
plan. Yeah.
Okay.
So we've just added a second bullet point, Marie. The board supports the development of a roadmap for chlorine exemptions for
I think
Christchurch
it's
water
good, actually.
supplies.
I think it's good.
Get that?
Works, supports the development of a roadmap for chlorine.
The exemptions for obtaining chlorine exemptions. I guess it's that.
Yeah.
That's good. The public is still concerned about it. I'm drinking bottled water at present, so a bit pathetic for Christchurch.
Yeah, we buy bottled water for drinking water.
I know. When we had
Stupid.
pristine,
What is it contained in?
Probably more chlorine.
Plastic?
we don't know.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't taste.
does.
If we got our own Hornby Spring, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, you put it.
Do you want to comment on that?
Which one's this? Sorry.
A comment on the chlorine-free taps?
Do we want
No.
to support the hang on, the instalment of UV filters cost dependent on existing spring waters?
As soon as you put cost dependent in, they'll struggle, right?
Oh, no, we'll just leave it, shall we?
Yeah.
So are they being told to actually do this?
No,
I've been told a lot, aren't they?
hang on, which part are you talking about?
I think they've been, our
Chlorination.
council staff have been told what
They have to
what
comply with
do. I
the
know.
law.
I know.
So,
We once had artesian
yeah,
water
have
here,
to
which
comply.
Mm.
Yeah.
they can't do much else.
Now, for the next one, the capital program, the questions were about the spend. Are we prioritising the right things? The board agreed the other day, or discussions indicated they agreed, yes, we're prioritising the right thing, but comment, the board is disappointed that the $870 million proposed for parks does not include any Riccarton projects.
Which can be taken out
Yeah.
now.
So it could be
Riccarton
taken out
Parks.
because they said it's
Yeah.
included in
Yeah.
So that
metropolitan.
comes
Yes.
out.
And they
Yeah.
certainly, you've got Hagley Park, Riccarton Bush Trust, you've got a lot of schools in this area. So you probably, yeah,
Say, Steve said we
Maria.
could include something about staff investigating some short-term options for Sockburn.
Yeah, but that won't go in. I wouldn't think that would go in a long-term plan submission. It would be something we would put through.
Something, somewhere
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything you would like to tell us about specific aspects of our proposed capital spend or capital program? And there you wanted to explore the Milne Sparks intersection, but I think
Yeah,
that's been
that's the
answered now, so that
developer-led.
comes out.
So what's the answer?
It was developer-led.
Okay,
That's why they
Okay.
took it out.
okay.
Everything's developer led,
I had no comment on anything.
anywhere.
No comments going forward. The next thing was explore other ways to bring down our proposed rates increase.
Oh.
No, this is what they said, e.g. reduce or change some of the services we provide. I think that was the option we picked, so the option, sorry, the board picked. Which of the following should be our focus? Deliver what we've proposed in the long-term plan, explore other ways to bring down proposed rates
Sorry,
increase.
where are we?
Yes, I'm not,
Sorry, I'm
It's
lost.
up on it's under additional opportunity and options for our main.
If we
proposal.
go further up, there was something about Sockburn Park. Are we?
No, it's further down, I think.
No, it's further up at the top of that page. Same of additional opportunity.
Oh, sorry, it is, yes. Oh, for some reason
So-
that's black.
Yeah, that's why I was going to ask. It's black, so.
So the comment in their Parks Heritage comments, the board urges the council to include provision for revitalisation of Sockburn Park as this is identified as a priority in the community board plan and is much sought after by residents in an area that is lacking in usable green space.
Yeah.
Any changes to that?
No, that's fine.
That
And
sounds
do you
okay.
want to put on Hornby? What's the big issue? Is it the Hornby master plan or something else you want to put on there?
The local area plan.
The Hornby area plan, yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's under
Hornby master plan.
transport. That's under
What's-
transport. Though.
Yeah,
It's
never
not a
looked
park,
at
so
that about.
That's under
it's not a
transport.
park, so.
It's not
But
park.
no, aren't we here? Additional savings.
Oh, no, sorry, we're not,
Oh,
not
we're
yet.
not.
I jumped ahead, sorry, we're under capital program.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's- Sorry,
Okay.
And then
Oh,
solid
okay.
waste, solid waste and resource recovery. No
What does,
comment.
what does Horsell want as its main issue if you want to add something? Have you any idea?
That one I was talking about in the this sub-regional, the network planning for
Oh,
them using those residential local roads.
oh, is that something that Andre
no,
supports as well?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's come up in the public meetings, but
So
well, this is what Andre.
what does
has.
Andre want?
Budget for new footpaths, safe access around our schools, fenced dog park, and fixing our roads.
So what about Horsell's priority is new footpaths?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, and
No,
you do,
because I was suggesting also at the end of the questionnaire, there was anything else. I was suggesting that we attach or we copy and paste the
Yeah.
board feedback that we did, the list that we had.
okay,
The list.
yes, I've lost that list.
Yeah, I've lost
Yeah.
mine as well. I don't know.
The capital program feedback.
Oh, yes,
Yeah, that one that we attached, we include those ones.
that's good.
I'll
Yeah.
need to find that too, so I might copy that.
Yes, I think that's,
I mean,
It's-
it will be somewhere, but.
Yeah, it'll be in, it was in Jess's email to us about,
It was one of the, was it one of the links on that
Yeah.
email?
yes. Yeah,
What date's that email?
I didn't print the date off. That's when I print. Oh, no,
I'll
no.
leave it to April, 11th of April.
Yep, so where does that come in, Marie, are you suggesting?
At the end, there was anything else?
Oh, okay, yep, down the bottom.
Is there anything else
Yeah.
you would like to tell us about the draft long-term plan 2024 to 30?
Yeah.
The last question.
Sorry, that document's called Draft Long-Term Plan Resource Document.
No, it's not.
No,
that,
that's not the one.
Oh, so maybe it's not on that email then.
No, it's another attachment.
Oh,
It's an
oh,
attachment.
okay.
If you could send that round to us
Oh, hang
tomorrow.
on, I think I've got it.
You've got it?
I'll forward it to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we, just to make sure that we're attaching the right thing. So moving on.
That's April 11,
from
right?
Yeah.
From Jess.
Sockburn Park. The next topic is solid waste, no comment. Other aspects of our capital spend or capital program, no comment.
You have to be over this more as a councillor, don't you, to
And this is where the problem lies. How is our community and us as a board able to give feedback on something that's so specific?
Yes, I know. And it's so, I mean, it's not just one item we're commenting on. We could do the work on it. It's a broad sweep, isn't it?
I think I was saying the other day, the questions I feel are so loaded, and to the average Joe blogs, they're so hard to answer. And the only way of submitting feedback is through giving answers to these questions.
That's why things like 151 Gilberthorpe's get missed, because they're in there, but you'll never find them until somebody says, see that word there? That's it.
That's
Well,
it.
no, the
Yes, I
board
know.
did have notice
I
of
know.
that prior to it even going in the plan.
And you've even
That it
got
was
to
up for
get,
discussion.
if you're a residents group,
Too, to keep up with.
you've got to convene your committee
You know, look at
and you
the
have to
email.
do what in fact we're doing. And so we have a range of views. So to get it all into something everyone agrees on.
So moving on then, now we're looking at additional opportunity and options to our main proposal. So there's a series of questions here. Which do you think should be our focus for the plan? Select one, deliver what we've proposed, explore other ways to bring down our proposed rates
Yes, we probably
increase.
do,
And
yeah.
that's the option that the board chose the other day. You still happy with that?
Yeah, I think so. Happy with
Yeah,
that?
I think it's.
Explore other ways to bring down our proposed rate
Additional
increases.
savings and efficiencies. Are there any areas where you feel we could be reviewing the services we provide to reduce our costs? And that was where we put in the comment, the board considers the council could review the opening hours of libraries to determine
That's right,
whether a
yes.
reduction could result in savings while still providing a good level of service.
And I
to
think we
residents.
want
And we could add-
other facilities too, like sports.
We could add the fines there with the
We could
reintroduction of library fines.
Yes, you want, yeah, I think it fits there, doesn't it?
I don't know the full
And
reason behind it.
No, and
and review the abolition of.
Additionally,
Sorry?
additionally, it could. So it's not one great big sentence.
Yeah, full stop. Additionally, it could.
it could, needs to establish how it's going, that reduction and that loss of fines.
Investigation into.
Yeah.
The actual email was March 21st. Maybe that's when you printed it.
Likely.
March 21st.
Additionally, the board considers that the council could revisit.
Yes, they'll have their own figures now because we
Revisit the abolition of library fines.
Yes, that's it. When they brought it in, they were doing it on what other councils had told them. So they will now have their own set of figures.
Let's see, we have to weigh out, there's probably further information around, did they lose more books, which incurred a bigger cost?
I know.
We could just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Additionally, the board considers the
I
council
used to
could
be, I
revisit
used to
the
get fined
decision.
quite a lot, actually.
Revisit the
But it
abolition of
does,
library
it
fines.
impacts on low income people in particular. And then they get worried. And they can't
Yeah,
afford
but
it.
sometimes also it's the low income people that incur the fines.
Yes.
And they're
I
the
used to, I
problem.
was busy.
Should we leave bid funding for major businesses at current levels? Or should we increase? Select one, leave at current levels. Or
I'd
increase the bid
scrap it
funding.
altogether.
Thing is, Henk, it's a problem because we've invested all this money into these new facilities
Do you want to get me wound up?
and yet and now potentially they'll be unused.
So the council pays for the bids for these people to come here, right?
Not always.
No, but the council, like if the All Blacks come to Christchurch to play a game, then the council pays them to come here. Council looks after obviously all the facilities that need to be done, like traffic control and stuff. The rugby board takes away the profits, and the ratepayers get ta-da!
Well, it would
A
be
lively
the pleasure
city.
of a game. They get the pleasure of a
The
game.
pleasure of the games, which 90% of them will never actually see.
No.
Whether they're played in Christchurch, Auckland, or Timaru, it doesn't really make any difference. Apart from the fact that if it's played in Christchurch, it costs the ratepayer.
Well, it does bring income to the city, I think.
To the
that's the
city,
thinking.
but what part of the city? Not the ratepayers.
It brings it to coffee shops.
If you stopped paying them, the ratepayers would actually save money, but the the companies in town, like the cafes and the bars, would lose money. So why aren't they paying for them to come? Because they make the money.
They do pay rates, so they pay a higher rate. So.
They pay the rates. We also we pay for part of this. We pay for these people to come so that they can make an extra profit.
Well, it's up to you. So the thinking the other day was to work with the option to increase the bid funding, but it's over to you.
And I'm very keen on our comment. So I quite like that.
The comment was the board is aware there are mixed views within the community on the appropriate level of bid funding.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
Well, that's true. So, so what do you want to do?
Yeah,
are you happy with what do you want to do?
Mixed views.
I'm
just a comment. Do you just want
that's fine.
want that comment?
Just to comment
and leave it out.
Yep.
Ticking, not ticking.
Oh no, you have to tick. I think
a tick.
Yeah.
What do people want to tick for this?
Well, leave it. The options are leave it at the current level or increase.
What do you want to do, or leave it out completely?
Well,
there should be a third option. We don't know.
Yes,
there isn't.
Yes, I think we can leave that out completely fine.
No, I don't know. I don't know, Helen, because some of them it won't let you move on until you
don't know. It doesn't have an option to say don't know. There's
don't know.
There's only either leave it or increase it.
I may be able to, but I don't know until.
Well, if you can do it, leave it. So if she can't leave it, what's the answer?
We could say at the start of that comment, we wish to tick a box we don't know, but we've opted for this, whatever one, because there is no other option.
Yes.
They should have given us.
So what would the one we are ticking be? Well, did the other day increase it? Are we moving away from that now?
We don't want either of the boxes. We want.
I don't know.
Well, you've got to give them some guidance.
But what I'm saying is, by ticking a box and then stating we wanted to tick the third box, we don't know.
Yes. So we write that down, Faye.
But if I have to tick one, if I have to tick one box on your behalf, which box will it be?
Look, I'll just go around. Sarah, which box would you tick?
Leave it as at current levels or increase.
I honestly don't know.
I don't think you have to tick the boxes because I'm just looking through here now online and just being able to go to next.
Okay. Say select one.
Yes. Yes. And so say what we don't.
When I come to do it tomorrow and it doesn't let me go further, what will I do?
And just leave it at the current level would be the correct answer.
I think yes.
Okay.
If you have to do it.
Well, yeah, but
we've got mixed views.
It's mixed views. That's the thing.
Yeah,
we can't
we've only got two. We can only stay there or go up. Okay. So if that's the only option we've got, then staying there is the cheapest option.
And it's the option that you agree with.
If that's the only two options we have.
And I would have to opt to doing the increasing.
I was opting to do the increase.
You'd do.
And this is where
that's why.
We're not supposed to agree on everything. Otherwise we're not done.
So that is increasing?
I think, I don't know.
Increasing, and then because that's what we agreed on the other night was that
we would increase. We didn't
but then we comment that there is actually a mixed view.
And would you feel comfortable with that, Henk? If
we recognize that there is.
So we've got the board is aware there are mixed views within the community on the appropriate level, and sleep at that.
Yeah.
It says on the community and on the board.
Within the board.
Oh,
and within the board.
Yes. Yeah. There are mixed communities within the community and the board on the appropriate level.
And they haven't got do not know, have they? Which they have
for some things. They have.
Lots of them. Just put there in the comments.
Mm-hmm. So next thing, more investment in adapting to climate change. And the first question is, do we bring the 1.8 million spend forward?
They didn't ask about this.
I think we did. I think we did. I think we thought.
So we did. I did.
You and I thought yes, but Sarah felt no. I think
I did ask, and I got some advice that I will just read out to you.
That was their preferred option. Their preferred option was.
I've got it up on the screen.
that's what I put it in there.
Council
did I?
has
Thank
a
you.
change party to invest in adaptation. Council and 27, that's council.
So we've got yes, we bring
Hang
it
on,
forward.
hang on.
No,
Wait,
we
wait,
don't.
hang
We
on.
don't know.
I've got to read that.
What is it? I'm struggling to read it.
Here, read it on my laptop if you want to. Hang on, I can increase it there. So, yes. Help you?
Oops, I've just probably stuffed it for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
You've made it very tricky.
yeah.
There you go.
Thank you.
It's certainly when I was in the mall last annual plan and we dragged people
Hang on,
over,
hang on.
they
Wait,
did
hang on,
want
we're still
the
reading
young
it.
ones who don't normally connect with us voted for climate change.
Oh, sure, and they always will.
Because they get
Under
told that in
30s.
school.
Yeah, they will.
So I think we've got the responsibility to them actually.
No,
You don't?
Helen, our children only know what we teach them
Yeah,
at
that's
school.
I know.
And we don't,
and by
Well,
dragging it forward, we're actually increasing the amount we're going to have to borrow.
So that's where my
by
confusion
0.29%.
was.
So for the,
And the other one is the climate fund at 2.5%.
So you do have a don't know option
No,
here.
no. What page is that?
Page,
Is
it's
that
the
one in
second
page
to last page. Oh, sorry. I've got it.
option to create, yeah, so 52, page 52,
Mm.
because that's where I got confused. You see that, the top one here,
hang on,
Sarah?
that's the Climate Resilience Fund.
Oh, God,
That's
now
the
I
second
understand.
part.
Which one are we?
There's
We're on
two, it's
adapting
bringing
to climate
forward.
change.
money,
Oh, they
and
bring
there's a
forward the
climate
1.8,
change, yeah.
yeah, hang on,
51.
51,
Page-
accelerating.
Yes.
Oh, what did we say on this one?
I
So
think,
we didn't know.
Yes, we said yes.
Yes, we
Bring
did.
1.8.
I think you and I said yes.
Yes, yeah.
Sarah.
Oh, yes,
Sarah
it was
didn't
the other
want
one
it,
that I was
and
confused.
Ken Doesn't
Okay.
want it?
no, I don't want to bring it forward.
No.
But, so that's
Hey,
their
Do you mind
justification.
forwarding me that staff response? Or do I have it
Yeah,
already?
just
Did you email it out to us?
No,
No,
I
no.
didn't. I only got it
Just
late this
need to
afternoon,
read
so
it
I just included
now.
it in this, but I can forward it to you, yeah?
Yeah.
That would be
please.
good, yes.
Not to say that I think we need to make a decision on it tonight.
So the options are, do you think we should bring forward the additional 1.8 million spend currently proposed to commence in 27-28 to accelerate our grasp of climate change risks? The options are yes, bring it forward, no, don't bring it forward, or don't know, not sure if we should bring it forward.
And that's the staff response is their justification of bringing it forward, or what the
Well,
the rationale for bringing it
well,
forward.
the rationale.
Benefits.
No, the rationale for the proposals, the current proposals, not the bringing it
Yeah,
forward.
but the benefits of bringing the 1.8 forward.
No,
There's the benefits of this proposal.
yeah, but the proposal is, our preferred option is what's proposed in the draft.
Which is to
Have it in 27-20.
Yeah, it's bringing it forward from 2027, 28.
Is their preferred option. As
Yeah.
I read it, it's the preferred option. And they're asking now, do you want to bring it forward?
No.
to when?
Now.
To
24,
25.
25.
Yes.
Ken and I are no.
But,
hang on.
can I give the other point of view? If you're a young person, say under 30, it's what you feel very strongly about. And they'd say, if you leave it, it's taking too long. You're not serious.
And the sky might fall in and all the birds die, but in the meantime, not a lot.
So
I know. That's,
just to clarify,
yes.
Scientific
so
research.
the proposed LTP it's in the 27-28, and that is their preferred option.
That's
And-
how I read it. Yeah.
Yes, and then now they're asking if we want to
But
bring
as
it
an
forward.
alternative, they're
As an
asking.
alternative.
As
an alternative.
I would vote to let it stay there at the 27-28.
Great. So that's
Yes,
three.
because they said there are currently no completed adaptation plans anyway, so
Okay, well, look, let's put in.
It lacks
Yes,
accountability.
and look, I do feel we should bring it forward,
And it
so
increases our
we'll
debt.
just say the majority, we'll just put a note.
No.
No,
Well,
this is
I've
the
always
majority
done that
saying
before.
no.
The board,
Yeah.
No, say no, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
then it's
Yeah.
a board
It's a
decision.
board decision.
yes, board decision.
Right.
So,
No,
So it-
no,
Okay,
that is to,
but if you put it as a note, it's the majority view on that one.
you don't,
No,
it's
no.
just like
That's
saying
exactly
Debbie
what
is not
Debbie's going to do.
included. No, it's a board decision, so it goes.
Well-
It's what's assumed when you make a board submission or the board makes a decision, that it's the majority.
But we normally,
It doesn't
if
have
people
to-
don't agree, we normally have left it in the past.
That is in
So-
a decision, but not in a submission.
No, we have on submissions like this, with, on the long-term plan, we've just left them. We would put, don't agree or something like that.
That's not what the board's agreed.
Well, anyway, let's go on to the other one, because I think
The-
that,
the next
I think that's sort of more important, yeah.
So that's basically the next part of it is, should we create the separate fund? Select one, yes, create an adaptation fund, no, don't create a fund, or three, don't know, which is what you opted for last time we spoke.
I'm
No,
happy-
not sure.
Yeah, I'm happy to create an adaptation fund because it is my personal belief that that in a few years' time, they'll change their tune anyway. It's in my lifetime that New Zealand was preparing for an ice age. They were planning the changes of roads because the glaciers were coming down too quick. Now we're saying that the glaciers are disappearing altogether. That's in my lifetime. It changes so quick.
And look, I'm in favour of doing this fund too, because I do think this is the major issue for young people, and we don't seem to be doing anything. So,
I think to make a fund is a good scheme.
So, and I don't
It always
put,
be.
yeah, I actually think we ought to be doing this. I might put in a personal submission and say, I've spoken to Sarah about this, and said, if you do create this fund, you've got to actually put it in a separate fund, which is only for this, because I went through an experience with the CE in 2003 where she took money for housing maintenance and took 12 million out and just put it in as a general fund.
But in this case,
Yes.
provided it's climate change driven,
Yes,
it's okay to put it into anything that's climate change
yes,
driven.
but as
But
long as
what's it going to do and where's the accountability? There's no accountability in the proposal.
or they're going to have it, they will have to take a look at how the fund's used. I'm going to say you
Well, how
must
can
have
we
a
agree
fund
to
that's
having a fund that we don't even know what
Well,
it's going to be?
what's wrong with the council saving a bit of money? In fund.
It's costing us.
So,
our
yeah,
rates.
the rates, it
And-
will impact on the rates.
Yeah, of course it will.
Will be 0.25 on
0.25%.
rates
Yep.
in a year or two, and then would add another 0.25 to the rate for each year it is implemented. If we rate this to the end of the LTP, it will be a 2.25% rate increase. So that's on top of.
Spread out.
So I would deem
years.
this
Yeah.
personally as a nice to have. And for me, a nice to have isn't
Well,
justified.
no, it's
wanting
not just a nice to have.
No, that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, and that's fair. I tend to agree with that, but it's a way of shutting people up who say we're not doing anything towards climate change.
They are saying that, the younger ones.
And so,
the older
But where's
ones.
the accountability for what's proposed?
provided they use it for a problem that arises out of climate change, it doesn't matter which way around the climate changes.
It could be flooding, for instance, or stormwater.
Yeah.
But this is a thing, and that would be great if it was for that specifically, but we don't know that it's going to be used for that.
Because we don't know what the fund will take a few years to build up.
You will have some chance to say what it's like, what it's for once if they get this through, they will then set the rules for the fund.
I can't support it personally, but
I support the
Yeah,
creating
okay.
a climate resilient.
So shall we go with a yes for that one and we'll have a no for the other one?
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
right, yeah.
so-
And then the comment we had under there the other day was, again, the board is aware there are mixed views within the community on how to provide for climate adaptation expenditure.
Yes,
Sure.
Yes.
And community and the board.
And the board, yes, I think. And I'll just do a personal one on what happened with housing. So if they do this, they must make it only to be approved by councillors rather than the CE. There's a nice little booty she had, he just moved it through to the common fund.
Community outcomes and priorities.
Yeah.
Here we go again.
So this was just
Out with the old, in with the new.
Oh, that's right. I believe that. I still believe that.
I need to get my sheet with the
This
previous.
is just a comment thing, and the
Yes.
comment
Yeah, I believe that still.
came up with the other day on
Yes.
the vision.
Oh, this is the vision.
Was
Yeah, so hang on, can we just get Hank's
Vision.
perspective without?
Place open to new ideas, new people, new investment, and new ways of doing it. It's a place where anything is possible. Do we agree with that? Do you have any thoughts on the vision? Vision first.
No, go for it.
So the comment that was discussed the other day was the board overall supports the vision set out in the council's strategic framework, but is concerned that the guiding vision could be seen as emphasising the new without recognising the value of what already exists in Christchurch.
No, that's what our perspective.
It's out with the old. in
And with the new. It was all about.
It's all new.
It doesn't say that either.
Well, no, but it's
It
what it
doesn't
doesn't,
say
more,
that.
it's what it doesn't say is the issue.
You're
It emphasises the new.
The place where anything is possible covers most things.
Which page are you on, Marie?
It's semantics.
14.
14.
14. Oh, yes, it's that one there.
Yeah.
Mm. I just thought it was two, new investment, new people, new ways of doing things, new ideas.
But that's what the whole world is about. Look how many new ideas you've seen in your
Modern.
lifetime.
Modernizing.
But new
And
people,
Mingus,
surely we're looking after our current people.
It's that we still need to
We've still got 80%
appreciate
people are.
the existing, the old.
So we did say that we support, but we're
Just pointing out.
Is concerned that the guiding vision could be seen
could be
as
seen.
emphasising the new without recognising the value of what already exists in Christchurch.
Yeah,
Just recognizing. it.
Yes,
I'm happy with that.
but they need to slightly modify the language.
Are we a little bit more specific, like could be seen? We believe it doesn't allow for the.
Guiding vision.
Well,
Yes,
it
I
does,
agree.
because it says a place where
agree,
anything
actually.
is
Yeah, it
possible.
needs to be firmer.
New,
That-
new.
Then anything
More
is
new.
possible.
Emphasises, so we'll take out the could be seen as and
Yes.
put the guiding vision emphasises.
Emphasises.
the
Yeah,
new.
yes, I agree.
More- Yeah,
That's good.
terminology.
It does. I'm not
Semantics.
wanted here.
Semantics are important.
As an engineer who spent all his life in engineering, one way or another, and all we've ever done is move to new things. And if you dare to mention, but the old ways worked all right, then that's
It's not
exactly
about
what you got.
that.
Because
It's
look,
not about the old way. It's just about
the guiding
like
vision.
recognising how we've got to come here.
But it is what's happening though, Henk, isn't it? Everything, when I was 25, this wasn't, these things weren't there.
No.
So now it's all about what's new and innovative, innovation, creative.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's
Go
nothing
off.
wrong with that.
Go off to drama school or
acknowledge-
whatever. I mean,
But having said that,
yes.
I put emphasis on Anzac Day. That's not new, that's the past. And I still think it's vitally important. And more young people do too.
I'm liking it too, actually.
And so I think that realistically, this is okay, to move forward is okay.
But as
because
long
the
as
past will always be the past.
But you have your present people too, don't you? You have people who live here already.
Yeah.
And you have to cater for them. It's not just new people coming in. You want new people to come in if they want to.
I like
So-
acknowledging the past.
Yes,
Because we can
we still
reflect
have a
on
wee bit
how we've got to
Probably
where we
acknowledging
have.
past.
But don't be,
We still have a wee bit to go. The potential disposal of down-owned
Acknowledging history.
properties.
Sorry.
Comments. This is what was agreed the other day. The board supports the disposal of properties that are surplus to the council's requirement and considers that the vacant section being the balance of decorum not required is in this category. Now, I will try to find a more defined
yeah,
definition, but that was how it was described in the.
which is okay.
Yeah.
which is okay, but then the board is also pushing to keep 151 Gilberthorpe's, which
That's
falls under that category.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it
because-
does.
No, it doesn't, because it's not in this cap, in
It's
this
not in this
plan.
LTP.
It was in
You
the
sure?
last,
It was in the
yeah, it was in the
previous one.
last.
Yeah, I recognise that, but there could easily be other ones similar that we don't know about yet.
Like,
Yes,
well, we've
they're all
looked
listed.
through
They're all
They're all listed, and we've
That's
looked
the
at
only one in the board area.
So I went
Okay.
through all the properties and
Yes,
there is
it's
only
right.
one within the board area and
No.
it's that
Okay.
one.
Ever,
Not at the moment, no, not on this one. This is
Oh,
the only one
So
in
I
the
went
board
through all
area.
the
oh,
properties.
in this one, yeah.
Okay.
And we're okay about
Wasn't
this
there a
one.
small, there was another small area, wasn't it, that was a? Oh, I'm not sure. I'll check
Was
out.
it
I thought it was
Sadie's Road or
just a
Place
part of,
Road,
had
Marie?
been a part of a reserve or a. part
Cars
of a-
Road, that was in Cars Road.
Did that not
That
come
was-
up? I'm not sure.
Okay, so we've got the answer there.
Yeah. Yep, the next thing was proposal to dispose of red zone properties. We had no
I have
comment.
no comment on that one.
What do we think of the proposal to gift Giltress Memorial Hall?
You
The
think-
board is supportive of the proposal.
Yes,
to
we've
I
brought
gift
the
think
same
Giltress
in.
very
Memorial Hall.
support, I think we put some very support.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
So there.
Anything else?
So in anything else, I emailed to you that,
Yeah.
yep, the attachment. Now I was just looking at it. I think it needs some updating, that document, because it included a lot of questions also at the bottom of that paper.
Mm.
I think we do need to remove those questions. Have you looked at it, Sarah?
Sorry.
The one that you showed us, that LTP feedback,
Oh,
because this was our feedback, the initial
Yeah,
feedback.
initial feedback,
So
yeah.
I think that needs to be updated.
Well, we'll need to do it now because it
Yeah.
has to be submitted to.
Yes. So the first one there is Wigram and Hayton intersection improvement, request to change the timing from 24-25 and 25 to 23-24. So where is it now? Wigram Hayton is now in.
I have to leave, I'm sorry.
You have to go. but
Okay.
yeah, it's fine. We're just doing technical stuff now.
Yeah, but I trust whatever you guys
Yeah,
do.
it's just updating this initial feedback.
Yeah.
So
And
we've
it's a
done
good
the
idea.
bits of, at least the submission, yeah.
Yeah, and so Faye, will you send it out again?
I'll send
or-
it out in the morning, but I have to ask if you can all look at it quite quickly because it does have to be submitted tomorrow.
I'm happy with what we've gone through
Yeah,
tonight. so-
yes, yeah, and
That
I
additional
will,
document is the thing that she's saying.
yeah, I will send out.
And I had
the-
that positive thing at the end saying they've done a really good job in terms of doing this. It's the first
Yeah.
time I've seen
I've
such a
included that comment,
comprehensive
Helen.
document, yeah.
Are we going, is there going to be like an introduction or is it just online? Is it just?
Has to be
answer?
online.
Yeah, is it just ticking the boxes and the comments? Is
Yeah.
there not like, yeah, we recognize that, we're on a tight budget, whatever. I
Well, you
don't
could
know.
do it
You know,
down the
the
bottom.
introduction,
And then anything else.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or that will go in the presentation. I
Well, yes, it
suppose.
will be
I think,
both,
yeah,
yeah.
the introduction that you
Yeah.
always do in the submissions.
Yeah.
Mm. Thank
That
you,
we
Sarah.
recognize, blah, blah, blah.
Do you want to use the meeting and-
All right.
Or we've
Good
got to
night.
finalise.
See
the
ya.
time.
Thank you.
See ya.
Yay, we did another.
See you tomorrow.
See, I made it unscathed.
Yeah.
It's 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah.
What time do you have to?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
We're still live.
One o'clock.
starts at 1 o'clock, so
Before one.
1:45, yeah.
Quarter
Live
to-
are you
streaming.
doing the,
Yeah.
I was still live
Hey?
streaming.
are you doing the, sorry.
Yes, we are.
But we're going to.
But I'll just say to half past.
So the 42027, request to change the
Okay.
timing from 24-25 and
Yeah.
25. So it's still in the, so we
Start
keep
at
that
12.
on. Have you got it open in your laptop?
I've got it open, yeah.
Yeah, so number one was Wigram and Hayton.
Thanks,
Seems
Sarah.
to avoid misinformation. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, because I think this was to change the timing from 24-25 and 25-26. Change it to 23-24, but we're already in 24.
We're already in
We're in
24,
that
25.
24, 25.
So so we'll just remove them? Because 24, I mean, that's,
It would have to be done by June, wouldn't it? Which
Yeah.
this plan is not going to be, yeah.
Wigram Hayton, and it's going to be done anyway, isn't it?
I don't know.
Wigram, although,
I think it is, but I'm not sure.
So where's it
Don't know
showing in
yet.
the plan there?
oh, here.
Yeah, was it showing?
24, 25, and 25, 26.
So you're now happy with that because
No, because what they wanted, what I think this was an Andre, wanted it to move it forward to 23, 24.
but
But we're only
so
starting
that
from
ends in
24.
June.
Yeah, but we're only starting from 24 anyway. So we just leave it. We just remove it.
Yep. So the Cars Road Reserve, there was a bit of an explanation tonight about that. wasn't
Unclear
there?
timeline may be a project that can be delayed, and that's what we did. But the HA would like this project to remain in this LTP, and it is still in the LTP.
Yep.
So we can remove that, and they've increased the budget as well. We removed number 2. Milne Sparks, inquiry why it was removed from the LTP, we can remove that. That's the developer led.
Yep.
Number 4, dog park. 74029. 74.
Seven 4029.
I don't have it here. Or is it Hornby? That's Halswell.
Southwest Christchurch. It may have been removed.
It's not here.
What one was it?
Dog park.
The dog
No,
park.
it's not in the boards one. It's in a metro.
Metro.
It's under
Hornby.
it's metro because it's under Southeast Dog Park or
Southwest.
Southeast. Yeah,
Which
it's
is
metro.
southeast.
Well, it's not
Southwest.
specific for the board, but it's on the wider board
But the
area.
project number isn't even in there, now Marie's saying.
It is.
74029.
It's not. That's the boards one,
Yeah.
but it's in a metro one, and the metro ones aren't in the boards one.
So it's called something different.
It is
It's a
there
different
because
project.
I'll bring it up and show you. It is definitely there.
But this is 74029 Southwest Christchurch.
Yeah, that's what it is because it's Southwest isn't. They said that Southwest isn't specific to the board.
So what's it for? Where's the provision for now? Do you know, Marie?
Yeah.
What year?
So I'm just
25,
looking
26?
at that's. I'm just going to look up and
Yeah. What year is it in? Because we're asking it to be brought forward to 25, 26. To align with the community board plan priority.
I think it's actually I have to go to number 1. I think I have to go to the first one, don't I?
Are all boards having a struggle with this, Faye, do you know?
I don't know.
No.
No, just things.
Oh, well, the 2 that I've watched are not struggling. They've done. They're
finished.
online. I mean,
Oh,
if you want to watch 2 community boards.
Which ones have you watched?
Coastal Burwood and Pendleton Waimari.
Okay. Pendleton,
Here we go.
Waimari, always very straightforward.
Yeah, 74029. What year is it in? Scroll up.
It's in 26, 27.
And what do we say here? So just bringing forward to 25, 26. So we keep that in.
So what is the project? Has it still got the same number, Marie?
Yes, 74029.
74029. We keep that in.
Which one is it?
The new dog park.
Oh,
The dog
So you
park.
want me to add
are we
that?
wanting to push it forward or just leave it?
We want
Debbie's
to push
got
it
a
forward.
different-
No, we already presented this to council. So this
Okay.
is what we presented. So we're just,
Just trying to, okay.
yeah.
I know.
So
this
we're
makes
just leaving it
feeling,
in.
Okay.
The others that were,
I think
all
I tend to
removed.
agree that it'd be good to have a dog park there, but
yeah.
there simply
And
makes
this is
feelings.
just investigating anyway.
It's only investigating.
Yes. So we leave that in and then budget for new footpaths, expressing concern about the proposal for new resources in the address over 10 years in the discussion. I think it's in the LTP, but in different budgets,
Yeah, I
the
think so.
footpaths.
But
It is in the metro.
we do need to
But we-
mention that though, I think. We put a high
So,
priority on footpaths for Halswell.
need to. We can't say that there's a 0 budget because there is, but I'm not sure where to find it. Because it's
There
all
will be
over.
in some
Yes.
project, but you could comment,
It's
the
like the
board,
collective
the
things with
board
the parks.
considers there needs to be more adequate provision for.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
Or
just
something,
amend that.
those sorts of.
Yeah. as long as not the zero budget, just updated. And this is also a community board plan priority, so we need to.
You've certainly got footpaths on one side in Halswell, a lot of
Yep.
footpaths.
And then
The additional funding, is that what you
Yeah.
want? Additional funding, additional provision for
footpaths.
in Halswell?
Yep. But I think they're doing that citywide. Anyway, it is fine. And it is a community board plan priority, just leave that in. Oh, you don't have your iPad with you, Helen? And then, what's happened with this one?
Mark talked about that to the guys this afternoon,
It's not
and
budgeted.
it seemed to be,
So has it been brought forward? We still want
it's
to
still
leave
on the
that in?
books, but yeah, I'm not sure when they're going to do it. We
You'll
prefer to
need
bring it
to-
forward into this year, but it'll probably be next year.
Marie, is the Whanganui pool still being funded this year?
We see that this just brings it in forward into the 23-24 annual plan. Well, that's.
Oh,
That's
just
pretty much passed, isn't it?
Just remove that annual plan, 23-24 annual plan, just bring forward due to its long overdue status and population growth in the area. Should be fine. That's the Awatea Amy's Road
So you want it in,
intersection.
just a second.
Yep.
How many are we putting down though? Because we can't put too many down, I think.
No, that's why we're
For each-
deleting some here.
Yeah, because each ward needs the maximum of 2, I think.
No, these are just comments. These are just comments on anything
Oh,
else.
anything extra,
Yeah,
yeah.
so anything else. So
But
we're
we are
just,
asking for it.
yeah.
Things, so you're supposed to be identifying savings in addition to, so the board seeks.
We're
board
loading up the
seeks
rates.
that Awatea Springs Road intersection improvements.
Be brought forward
Be brought
due to its long overdue status and population growth in the area. And then.
And all those halls of people
such as in the
coming across.
What happened to this one? I don't
They've-
remember.
No, they've just let it slide because it's too hard.
Do we delete this? Shall we delete?
No, we should keep it in there. They won't do anything about it anyway, but we should keep it in there.
But we can remove as per the notice of motion.
No, no, we should leave that.
Leave that in, just in the new budget. So Hank says we leave in the Waterloo?
When was that?
I don't remember.
passed? I don't remember notice of motion.
At the HHR committee board meeting, I don't
I
remember.
think it was right at the very beginning of this term that we talked about that.
But where was the notice of motion? I don't remember.
I don't know, I don't remember.
That's why I was suggesting we remove
Yeah.
that notice of motion sentence.
Want something, do you want something like the board considers, the board considers Waterloo, Gilberthorpe's Park intersection.
Oh, yes, that's that difficult one, isn't
It
it?
is a difficult one.
Improvement.
There's no clever answers to
Needs to
that.
be treated, needs to be investigated as a priority.
Yeah, yeah,
Something like that. would-
yeah, that'd be fine.
We might need to actually tighten this up a bit, Faye, because we probably need to list something for each ward.
Well, you tell me, I'm just putting the words in.
Yeah.
I thought that had been done.
Have we done? So we can
Yeah.
remove the Denton Park tree?
Oh, yeah,
Denton Park?
yeah, I think so.
Toby said today that that's being done. There's a plan.
Yeah,
Okay, so we
planting
can,
plan
we can
underway.
remove,
my
okay,
understanding is there's a plan for that.
we can remove
Yeah,
Denton Park and then infill of missing footpaths.
no, you can't hold forward, touch that.
Proposal for a new project that goes the missing footpath shared paths in various locations. Hornby will leave that in.
Leave the master plan.
Hornby master plan.
Yeah.
Well, I think you've already had your assurance today that it's progressing, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
So we can remove this?
Yeah. Don't need to ask for it.
Yeah.
okay.
Remove. Branston Park upgrade.
I don't know too much about that.
I don't know
we can
either,
leave
so-
that, can we? It's not
What do you
pressing, is
mean,
it?
what do you mean,
Yeah.
leave that, delete or
Just
leave
out.
it in?
Leave it
No,
out.
delete.
leave it
Don't
out.
include it.
Okay,
Is that what you mean?
delete Branston Park upgrade. Then connector cycle paths in and around Hornby. They've already got the
We've got people,
We've got quite a bit in
major
there, so
cycle routes
Yeah.
and
anyway.
people aren't overly happy with
We-
them.
We
No.
can remove as well.
I think so.
Yep, remove.
We've got them down on my sheet. I've got them down anyway, some.
There's some, yes,
Yes, okay.
yes, there's quite a bit in there.
yeah. So remove that. Amy's Road renewal resurfacing.
Amy's Albertiran Springs.
Seeking assurance for a scheduled project in 24-25.
See, that's it.
Is there anything?
That's it, Amy's Road,
intersection
Springs
approved.
Road intersection again.
That's down, actually.
It's, what do you mean? It's in here already?
Yes, as long as I've got the same one as you. And
Oh, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So we can remove that.
Yeah.
yeah,
Hornby Bush. Toby talked about it.
what do you feel about that? I don't know.
So I think they've got it in.
I think that,
mind.
I think it's on the way anyway.
Yep, okay, we
Yeah.
can remove that. Deferred maintenance of Hornby streets. Is that, and
Yeah, I think we
I
should.
don't
do-
know, but it's probably likely or to be in.
somewhere,
In a program, yes.
Yeah, it's in
Not
a program.
Specifically identified.
we can
program, but-
remove this. Because they will identify deteriorating ditch channels anyway.
And we'll need to keep that going because that's part of that master transport plan.
But yes, they
So
will.
It's a part of it.
It's a part of it. Investigation of Chalmers Street to water, they talked about it earlier?
This
Yeah,
is
we
what Mark talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Mark is quite keen on it.
And that's
But
going to
I'll-
be part of the
I'll
Hornby
definitely-
master
I'll definitely
plan,
argue.
the wider
Yeah,
plan,
yes.
yeah. So investigation, yeah, we can remove this
Hello, hi.
because that's part of that wider
It
plan.
is part of it, yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
I'm still at the meeting. I'm
Riccarton,
bringing about quarter of
Sockburn
an hour.
Park Informer Service Center
Okay.
Development.
So we've already got
Well,
that
if you want
in
to
there.
come, I've
about-
just
Oh,
organised a cab,
about-
so
Oh,
you
no,
want to
we've
go
got,
home.
sorry, we've got Sockburn Park revitalisation.
Okay. Yes.
We
Yeah,
put
that's what,
there.
that,
Okay.
that's
In the
what that
capital
is.
program, yeah.
So
Yes,
that's, so we
yes.
can remove that?
I'm at the
Yeah, I
meeting
think so.
still.
We've
Okay.
already got it in the submission.
Yeah.
We discussed it higher, further
Oh, we
up,
can-
didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, do we include it, still include it here?
Well, we don't want to end it in both places.
All right, okay. And then investigation of a renewal pool?
Yes, that's the one.
No
I've had a look and
process.
can't see anything about it, and there's no mention of anything with Whanganui Pool in the,
So what happens now then? Are they getting funding from us or not?
doesn't say.
Well, so there is a better off fund, isn't there?
No,
Project?
that's
No,
a
it's
different- that's a
very
different one.
small,
Yes,
isn't
it's a
it?
different one. That's not for operational stuff for Whanganui Pool. So I don't know. I can't see it there, but it's not to say it's not in there.
So
Because
Shall
it's
we
down as
leave
a-
it out, but I'll have to explore that and see if Tyler knows. We can always mention it on the day if in fact there's something, if it's serious. I mean,
Well, you
no.
could say continuation. So what was the phrase in there?
Continuation.
I mean, that's a
Investigation of
very
a
big
renewal
project,
pool refurbishment.
I'd say
no,
In
there's
light of
continuation,
proposed
yeah.
intensification in Riccarton.
No, there's nothing in there for that. So probably you want to keep that in there.
Keep that
Well,
in.
it's a
Keep it
very
in,
big
yes.
project, it would be very costly, so I
Yeah.
think you'd have to be probably suggesting.
Yes, we
somewhere
do
where
have
that
to
comes
continue
from.
it till the main one's open. I don't actually agree. It should be closed anyway, but
Just keep it in.
keep it in, yes.
The
It's one of our
only thing they
key
can say
ones, I
is yes or
think.
no.
I know, but they may say, yes, we'll accept it, and the rates will go up. 5%.
Yeah, I know.
Public toilets, church corner and demolition of Memorial Library building, that's done. Suggestion for
done.
demolition and
That's
development
done.
as a
Yeah,
pocket
it's
park,
done.
it's
Yeah, but
done.
public toilets aren't
We can-
necessarily done.
The public toilets we can keep
I'm not,
in,
I'm not
no.
keen on,
public toilets.
no, I'd leave that.
The
in
community would
meeting.
like public toilets there.
I know.
Yeah, so
but
we
I-
leave it,
No, I think we just leave it. It's not, we're not going
leave
to
it
get it
here, remove it.
out, take it out.
Take it
Yes,
out.
take it out there.
Suggestion for demolition,
Because there's no public toilets in that area.
but yeah.
No, but I think we,
Right.
it's nothing I can push, I don't think. I don't feel like, we've taken them out of places and sent.
But wasn't Tyler pushing for this? He was pushing
Yes,
for the
but
public toilets.
I'd rather push for Sockburn Park, actually. This is quite a small item, I think. Yes, I'd leave it. I can talk to Tyler about it.
Tyler, yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Because
talk to
Tyler
Tyler.
can push for it.
The craft project.
Craft projects prioritization, that's done.
Yeah.
We've got those.
Yeah.
Across all wards, minor safety improvements budget, that can go.
Yeah.
That can go. Projects spread across 3 years. That can go.
I don't know what that means.
And questions. Craft, that Napunawai. I think the questions can go.
So what I've included there, and anything else, is there anything else you would like to tell us about the draft long-term plan? And we've put the dog park suggested bringing forward to 25-26 to align with community board plan priority. We'd like this to remain in the LTP. The board considers there's need for additional provision for footpaths in Horswell. This is community board plan priority. The board seeks that Awatea Springs, Amy's Road intersection improvements be brought forward, this project, into the years 23-24 annual plan due to its long overdue. Well, that's not going to work.
No,
The
we said
board
we said to
seeks-
remove
Okay,
the 23-24 annual plan, but just to bring forward.
that the Awatea Springs, Amy's Road intersection improvements be brought forward.
That's right, yeah.
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 Be
That's
brought forward into.
Just be brought forward, that's
due
it.
to it, yeah.
Yep.
And the next one, the board considers Waterloo Gilberthorpe's Park as intersection improvement needs to be investigated as a priority.
Yes.
The board requests investigation of foreign area pool refurbishment in light of the pool's proposed intensification in Riccarton.
And in fact, that the central pool is still not open. That Metro Sports thing is still having problems.
Sorry.
In light of public security.
In light of proposed intensification risks
And the central Metro Sports still being,
Security.
isn't that terrible what's going
It's
on?
not-
You'll have to come to Hornby, won't you?
Sorry?
They'll all have to come to Hornby.
Isn't it PARAK?
But you don't want that, do you?
So we talked about it in the public meeting last night, Matatiti, the pool. Also, people will have difficulty getting.
It's
from
not open
A to
yet.
B. They still prefer to go to Pioneer.
It's not yet
Because
open.
there's a more direct access. Because
I'll ring
otherwise-
It's
for
easier.
that. I'm not
Yeah.
quite sure if I
Going
texted
from
him today
Horswell
and
to
I'm
Hornby's always been a pain.
I think
Yes.
it's
Always.
So that's why they say, oh, it's good, it's difficult. to get
Yeah.
there.
It's
Yeah.
tough, we're live streaming.
Pioneer was still.
And part of the reason is.
Well, he's coming in on my
yeah,
phone.
No,
Amy's
but
Road
anybody
corner.
could watch it on
Yeah.
live stream.
I know it's like
intersection.
that, but you know, it's that corner.
I say, I keep forgetting actually. You think it's the end of
Yeah.
a meeting. Can we leave this now?
Yes, if you're happy with that, I'll get this redrafted in the morning and get it out to you as soon as I can, because I know we've got the Matariki at 1 p.m.
Matatiki.
I won't see it in the morning.
Matariki, yes.
I've got a community lunch before the
Well, that's
opening,
right. You have to.
so I'm going to be flat out from about 7.
So are you happy to end the meeting?
Okay, I'll end this meeting. Thank everyone for attending, and it's been a long meeting.